Hallo Deutschlerner! If you're just starting to learn German, this video is for you. In this video, I'll take you through all of the basics of the German language, starting with pronunciation and working our way through until you can hold a basic conversation in German. If you combine this video with some vocabulary practice, you will be well on your way to mastering the basics of the German language at the A1 level. If you would like to get even more out of this video, you can get a copy of my new ebook, which includes versions of the video scripts along with worksheets and answer keys to those worksheets for every lesson in this video. By getting my ebook, you will also gain access to a ton of previously unreleased materials, including MP3 downloads of dialogues, flashcards, and more. This ebook is now available on Amazon.com, which you can find linked below, and on my website, GermanWithAntrim.com. From my website, you can also download individual materials for individual lessons, or you can download all of the materials in one giant bundle. If you want to skip to a particular lesson in this video, there are timestamps in the description for each of the lessons so you can find exactly what you're looking for. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Welcome to today's video. I'm Herr Antrim, a high school German teacher in the United States, and on this channel I teach all kinds of German-related stuff, including grammar and vocabulary lessons like this video, as well as tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your German learning. So if that sounds like something that you would like, consider clicking that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Most German teachers start out by talking about how to say the German letters in the German alphabet. Let's be honest, this is mostly useless. How often does someone come up to you and ask you to spell something in your own language? I don't even remember the last time that somebody asked me to spell something that wasn't my last name. The chances of you needing the German alphabet before you learn how to say hallo are pretty slim. So, we're going to skip over all of that alphabet nonsense for now and start with the pronunciation of vowels in German. Let's start with the letter A. For every vowel in the German language, there are two pronunciation options. With the letter A, we have A and A. The sound is the same for both, but the length of the sound is what's different. See if you can catch the difference in the A's in the following words. An, kalt. Sagen, Wasser. War, Kraft. The short A sound is just a burst of sound, while the long A sound is a little bit longer. Most of the time this really won't matter much, and you really can't tell the difference unless you are really paying attention. There are occasions, however, when it matters a bit more. For example, kam versus kam. In Massen versus in Maßen. If you haven't picked up on the pattern by now, the short A sound is used when there are more than one consonant after the vowel. The long A sound is used when there is only one consonant. The long A sound also occurs at the end of German words when they aren't the stressed syllable. For example, sofa, mofa. There's also the option of adding H behind the letter A in order to make it have the long sound no matter what is happening with the consonants. For example, Ja, Sa, Zahn, Hahn, Fahne. You can also force the long A sound by putting two A's right next to each other. Pa, Haar, Waage. Since we're on the topic of combining letters, let's move on to diphthongs. This is the fancy word for saying that two vowels are next to each other and are pronounced as one. In the case of the letter A, we have several of them. AI sounds like the English letter I. My, Hi, Kaiser. AU is pronounced like somebody stepped on your toe. Ow! In fact, the German spelling of this word is Aue, which is pronounced Aue. Examples of this in words would include Haus, Maus, Kauen, Auch, and Auf. Adding the umlaut, those two little dots above the letter A, makes it sound like you are trying to get somebody's attention in a British pub. Oi, mate! Examples include Häuser, Mäuse, Räuber. The same is true if you put an E and a U together. EU makes the Oi sound. Neu, Scheu, Freude. This is because the A umlaut by itself is pronounced like the long pronunciation of the letter E. Examples of this include spät, erklären, Mädchen, Geschäft. It sounds exactly like the E in the following words. Weg, beten, sehen. The same rules that you applied with the letter A now apply here. That means one consonant is a long vowel sound, and more than one consonant has a short vowel sound. Double the vowel to force the long vowel sound. EE, for example, would be See, Meer, Beere. You can also force the long E sound by adding H behind the E. For example, sehr, stehen, gehen. Of course, the letter E also has a short sound as well, which you might have noticed at the end of the two verbs in the previous examples. On the non-stressed syllable at the end of each of those verbs, that is the short E sound. The short vowel sounds in other words would include Wetter, besser, essen. The same sound that you get when combining A and I can also be created with a combination of E and I. If you're an English speaker, the two possible combinations of E and I are incredibly confusing because they're generally pronounced the exact opposite way as they are in English. If the I is second, say I. If the E is second, say E. For example, EI would be schreiben, drei, and Bein. IE would include nie, sie, and Bier. Of course, the letter I can also be used without the combination of E, and then it has two pronunciation options, just like the other vowels. The short I sound is I, and the long I sound is more closely related to the English long E sound, E. The long sound is used whenever there is only one consonant after the vowel, while the short sound is used when there are more than one consonant. Short sounds, for example, would be pizza, immer, fish. Long vowel sounds would include Igel, irisch, Termin. The long O sound is just like it is in English, but whenever we say it in English, we generally have like the corners of your mouth go up a little bit as if it had a W behind it. But in German, the mouth stays in the same position from the beginning of the O to the end. For example, the long O would include Oper, Rose, Rot, O, O, O. Don't forget you can also force this O sound by adding an extra O. This gets confusing for some English speakers because we would pronounce two O's together as U. In this case, in the German, it is OO pronounced as Boot or Zoo. If you add an H behind the O, it has the same effect. For example, Stroh or Froh or Sohle. The short O sound is O, as in Post, Wolle, or Gott. The letter O can also be combined with an umlaut, which is a bit more difficult to pronounce than the A with an umlaut. Start with the sound O, and then bring your tongue to meet your teeth in the back of your mouth. Another way to think of this is combining the long O and the English sound E. So you have O, E, O, E, O, E, O. For example, hören, schön, Löwe. The long U sound can be formed in the same way as the other long vowel sounds. It has either a single consonant or an H behind it. There aren't any German words with two U's next to each other, with the exception of the word vacuum, and I don't think that counts. So if you need to make the long U sound, you can't do it that way. If you're looking for some examples, that would include Stuhl, Grube, and Buch. The CH at the end of that word is actually treated as if it were one consonant, and therefore is sort of an exception to the rule of one consonant having the long sound. The short U is used before multiple consonants. For example, Hund, Wunsch, Butter. The U umlaut is pronounced in a similar way to the O with an umlaut. Start with the long U sound, U. Then add an E to the end of it, E. Or you can start with your mouth in the position for the long U and push your tongue to the edge of your teeth. Ooey, 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 It's actually more closely related to the sound of I than it is to the U. I. Über, drücken, grün. In the odd case that the letter Y shows up in a German word, you need to pronounce it like the U umlaut. So for example, typisch, Gymnasium, typ. If it's at the beginning or the end of a word, it will be pronounced like the English-sounding Y. Baby, yak, party. The letter B is mostly pronounced as it is in English. At the beginning or the middle of the word, it is pronounced B. For example, beginnen, Bär, geben, graben. When it is the last letter of the word or it is before the letter S, it sounds more like a P. For example, Dieb, gelb, lebst, gibst. Keep in mind that prefixes such as ab or ab sound more like the letter P because it's at the end of the prefix, even though it isn't the end of the entire word, abbiegen. The letter C is almost always combined with something else. If it is followed by a consonant or a vowel sound that comes from the back of your mouth, it sounds like a K, as it does in English. Kaffee, Clown, Currywurst. This is the same sound used when the C is combined with a K. This sounds exactly like it does in English. Backen, Flecken, Bock. When the letter C is followed by a vowel sound that is made with the front of the mouth, it takes on the sound similar to the TS sound or the German Z. Zirkus, circa, Cent. The letter D follows a similar pattern to the letter B. By this I mean that it sounds exactly like the English pronunciation in the front of the word or in the middle. For instance, doch, das, werden, wieder. If it is placed at the end of a word, it takes on the pronunciations more similar to the letter T. Tod, Wand, Schild. There is absolutely nothing special about the letter F. It is always pronounced the same as it is in English. For example, Fisch, Französisch, Neffe, Schiff. If the letter G is at the beginning or the middle of a word, it sounds exactly as it does in English. This includes the combination of N and G. For example, Gott, Grillen, eng, bringen, Regenbogen. If the letter G is at the end of a word, it sounds more like the letter K. For example, Tag, Krieg, Flugzeug. Notice that the word Flugzeug has two of these sounds because the first G is at the end of the first word in the compound. Flugzeug. The combination of I and G is very confusing to some German learners because there doesn't seem to be any consistency in the pronunciation. It took me forever to figure it out. If the letters I and G are at the end of a word or before a consonant, they make the sound like the pronunciation of ich. It is also acceptable to say it as ich, but the soft variant is more common, which is how I will say it in these examples. König, Ewigkeit, witzig, 50. It is also acceptable to say König, Ewigkeit, witzig, 50. Be careful with this rule though, there are a few exceptions. For instance, Signal. When IG is before a vowel, it is pronounced as it would be in the middle of a word. For instance, Heilige, Igel. The letter G can also sound French when it's used in a word that has French origin. This may be the most difficult category to identify as I personally don't know which words come from the French. In fact, some of the words that are on my example list I had no idea they were French until I started researching this video. Garage, Orange, Ingenieur. You've already seen the letter H as it's used to elongate a vowel sound. For instance, ja, sehen, gehen. In those words, the letter H is silent and only functions to change the vowel. When H is pronounced, it is pronounced the same as it is in English. Held, Gesundheit, heute. J is almost always pronounced as J. It sounds more like the English Y than it does the letter J in English. For instance, ja, jetzt, Jacke, Mayonnaise. The increasing number of imported English words have made it so that there are also more and more German words that are pronounced as English with German accents. For instance, Job, jeans, Jeep. French words that include the J are pronounced as the French would pronounce them, which is slightly different from the English J sound. The pronunciation of these J's are actually a combination of the two letters D and J. For instance, journaliste, jargon. A K is a K no matter if it's in German or English, if it's combined with other consonants, if it's before a vowel, if it's the end of a word, the middle of a word, or anywhere else, it's always going to be pronounced K. For example, Sekunde, können, klein, krank, lecker. L is pretty straightforward as well. It sounds just like it does in English. Lüge, liegen, heilen, Teil, wild. M sounds like M. Mond, Schimmel, atmen, heim. N always sounds the same as it does in English, and this includes when it's combined with the G. Lang, hängen, Wein, fahren, danken. P is straightforward as well because it's the same as in English. Prost, springen, Gruppe, kaputt, Tipp. Q is confusing because it sounds like K and V together or K and W in German. It is also combined with the letter U every single time. For instance, Quiz, Quittung, bequem. And now for the most complicated one on the list, the letter R. Other YouTubers have dedicated entire videos to this letter. I'm going to try and break it down a little bit shorter in this video. There are two basic sounds that the R can make, and in the end they are both going to come from the back of your throat. The one that sometimes gives the German the stereotype of being a rough language is the consonant R, also known as the guttural R or the rolled R, R. It doesn't have to be Rammstein. It could be Rammstein. If you're trying to replicate this sound, start by clearing your throat. Then elongate that sound. Then add a little bit of your voice behind that. Some people equate it to a softer version of gargling with some voice behind it. You're really trying to get the base of your tongue in the back of your mouth to touch the back part of the roof of your mouth, then make it vibrate a little bit, and then add some voice behind it. Let's see some example words to see a more solid version of what I mean. I'll pronounce these words twice instead of just a single time like I did with the other examples to show you that you can choose between harsh and not harsh. Regen, Regen. Rot, Rot. Hören, Hören. Her, Her. Dürr, Dürr. Rosen, Rosen. The other R sound is the vocalic R. It sounds more like a vowel than it does a consonant, which is why it's called this. Take the sound that we had for the consonant R and move your tongue just far enough away from the roof of your mouth that it no longer makes that raspy sound. It could also be described as the combination of E and A in German, as this makes a very similar sound, er. It is most commonly used at the end of a German word when it ends in ER. It also shows up at the end of a word after a long vowel sound, and in the middle of a word after a long vowel sound, and before another consonant. If that sounds complicated, listen to the following examples and I'll show you which categories they fall into. Bruder, Mutter, Schwester. They end with ER, therefore we say er. Tor, Meer. Chor, Bier. After a long vowel sound at the end of a word, we say Herd, Pferd. This is in the middle of a word before a consonant. The letter S has two options when it's used on its own, buzzed or unbuzzed. If it's at the beginning of a word or at the middle of a word on its own, it is pronounced as a Z in English. Singen, sitzen, reisen, leise. If you double the S anywhere in a word, or you use the S at the end of a word on its own, it is pronounced like the hissing snake sound that you're used to in English. Gleis, Glas, Schloss, Wissen. This weird-looking dude is basically just two S's shoved together. It's called an S-set. It will always make the sound S. If you have a word that uses this sound in the middle of a word or at the end of the word, it is likely that you need an S set. Officially, it is used after a long vowel or a diphthong. This ends up looking confusing when you see it as an infinitive of a verb, but not in other forms of the same verb. If you follow the rules I mentioned earlier, you'll figure it out pretty quickly. Fuß, fließen, Straße, beißen. Let's take a look at the verb beißen. The present tense uses the S set for all of its forms. That's because there is a diphthong before the S set. Ich beiße, du beißt, beißt. In the simple past tense, all of the forms take a double S because it's preceded by a short vowel. Ich biss, du bissest, biss. See? Everything follows the rules. Back to the letters that are a lot easier to figure out. The letter T is always a T. It sounds like T. It's more fun when you add it to other letters and consonants and stuff, but remember, today's video is about consonants on their own. In the next video, I'll talk about how it's combined with other things. So for today's video, T says T. For instance, Tag, Teil, tragen, raten, Auto, gut, rot. V is a bit odd because sometimes it sounds the same as the English, but sometimes it sounds like the letter F in English. If the word is of German origin, it is probably pronounced like F, unless it's at the end of a word, in which case it is pronounced like V. If it is a foreign word, it is probably pronounced V. So, here are a few examples as used as a F. Viel, Vogel, Volk, Vater, Veilchen. And now as a V. Vase, Klavier, Verb, Privat, Universität. W is easier because it is always pronounced as the English V sound, V. Nothing complicated about this letter at all, other than it doesn't sound like the English W, W. It's V. Welt, Wolke, verschwinden, vorwärts. In random English words involving a W, it's pronounced like the English W, but that's because they're just English words being used by Germans. Wow. Show. If you combine the letters K and S, you end up with the sound that you need for the German X. X. There are pretty much no German words that start with an X. Hexe, taxi, flex. You can tell I'm running out of words that use the letter X in German when I use the German word for an angle grinder. The letter Z is like the TS sound at the end of the word hats. It just takes a little bit of practice not to pronounce it like the English Z. Zimmer, zwischen, Zug, Ziel, Salz, Netz, plötzlich. The most discussed consonant combination in the German language has to be the CH combination. It has two distinct sounds. The first one is the easier of the two. It's the soft CH sound, or the front CH. It's the same sound that you hear at the beginning of the name Hugh. Hugh. There's a list of letters that you can memorize if you want to really figure out when to use this sound, but honestly, it just sounds right as opposed to the other sound. The letters used before this sound are E, A umlaut, I, E, U, A umlaut, U, and O umlaut. You can also use it after a consonant. Easy version, if the sound preceding the CH comes from the front of your mouth, use the soft CH. Here are some examples. Becher, echt, Fächer, mächtig, ich, nicht, gleich, leicht, riechen, Grieche, euch, feucht, bräuche, Bäuche, Köcher, Löcher, solche, Milch. The other sound is from the back of the throat and is made after vowels that come from the back of the mouth. This includes A, O, U, and AU. In order to make this sound, start with the long O. O. Stop your vocal cords. O. Slowly close the gap in the back of your throat until the friction from the air that passes through makes a bit of sound. It's that throat-clearing sound that appears in comedic acts about the German language. Since this sound is often considered to be a harsh thing and makes the stereotype of the German language being harsh, I'll give you a few pronunciation options so that you don't sound like you're working up a phlegm ball. Nach, nach, Rache, Rache, Woche, Woche, hoch, hoch, Kuchen, Kuchen, Spruch, Spruch, Rauch, Rauch, auch, auch. If you add an S to the end of the CH combination, it sounds more like a KS instead. Sechs, Sachsen, Wachsen, Achsel. Next up on my list is the CK combination. It's the same as it is in English, but it needs to be on the list because it is a consonant combination. Backen, Gebäck, Gucken, Jacke, Lecker, Schnecke. If you see GN in German, pronounce both letters one after the other. This is pretty rare, but it is necessary that you know how to say it. Gnade, Gnome. If you reverse G and N, you get NG. It acts pretty similarly to the NG combination in English. Lang, singen, Finger, Menge, Anmeldung, Frühling. NK sounds similar to NG, but obviously has a K sound at the end, making it a more abrupt stop to the syllable. Sinken, trinken, denken, danken, Enkel, Onkel. Unlike in English, when you see KN together, you pronounce them both in German. Knie, Kneipe, Knopf. It's not nie, Neipe, or Knopf. It's Knie, Kneipe, Knopf. If the letters P and F are next to each other, it sounds like you're shooting the letter F out of your mouth with a burst of air. Pferd, Pfeil, Pfingsten, Pfirsich, Tropfen, Kopf. The PH combination is the same in English as it is in German. Most of the time, these are just English words with German pronunciation because these words are always of foreign origin. Graf, Phrase, Physik. QU was mentioned in the last video, as the letter Q is always followed up by U. In case you forgot or you missed the last video, it is pronounced like the English letters K and V together. Quatsch, bequem, Quark, Quiz. In order to make the sh sound in German, there are a bunch of different options, but the most direct approach is the letters SCH together. This makes exactly the same sound as the SH combination in English. Schnecke, Schnee, Schlaf, Fisch, Tschechisches Streichholzschächtelchen. You get the idea. Notice that when I added the letter T to the beginning of the word Tschechisches, the combination of TSCH sounds like the English CH sound in the words choice or chance. Here are some more examples. Klatschen, Deutsch, Lutscher, Peitsche. When S is combined with either the letter P or the letter T at the beginning of a word, it has the same sh sound as SCH did, followed by either P or T, P or T. This takes a bit of getting used to. Spielen, Spaß, Spät, Spinat, Stimme, Steigen, Stoff, Stock, Straße. When those letters are combined anywhere else in the word, they are pronounced as they are in English, sp and st. Wespe, Knospe, Beste, Dienst, Durst, Erste, Faust. The English TH sound, f, does not exist in German. This is the reason for the Germans sometimes sounding like this when they are speaking the English. If you see the TH together in German, it is pronounced as a T. T. Theater, Theorie, Ethik, Mathe, Apotheke. Today's video is going to use tongue twisters to help you focus on one or more sounds at a time. After each one, I'll explain the pronunciation a bit and repeat the tongue twister. I encourage you to pause the video and attempt the tongue twister on your own. I'll say each one a few times, starting out slowly and then try to go faster and faster. Don't worry about trying to say these tongue twisters quickly. The reason I chose them is so that you could focus on your pronunciation. Each tongue twister focuses on a particular sound or group of sounds. By working with tongue twisters, you'll be more likely to get normal sentences correct as well. Let's get started. The long A versus the short A. 8 alte Ameisen aßen am Abend Ananas. In case you don't remember it from the previous videos, the long A sound is made when there is only one consonant after the vowel, but the short A sound is made when there is more than one consonant after the vowel. The words acht and alte have the short A, acht, alte. Ameisen and aßen and am, Abend and Ananas have the long A sound. Also, it's fun to hear how the last words slide together, am Abend Ananas. 8 alte Ameisen aßen am Abend Ananas. 8 alte Ameisen aßen am Abend Ananas. 8 alte Ameisen aßen am Abend Ananas. Long E versus short E. Esel essen Nesseln nicht. Nesseln essen Esel nicht. Another practice of the long vowel versus the short vowel. Don't forget, if there's only one consonant after the vowel sound is long. If there are more than one consonant after the vowel, use the short sound. Esel essen Nesseln nicht. Nesseln essen Esel nicht. Esel essen Nesseln nicht. Nesseln essen Esel nicht. The Z sound. Am 10.10. um 10:10 Uhr zogen 10 zahme Ziegen 10 Zentner Zucker zum Zoo. The German Z sound sounds like the TS at the end of the word hats in English. There are only two words in this entire tongue twister that don't start with Z, which makes it a lot of fun to say. Am 10.10. um 10:10 Uhr zogen 10 zahme Ziegen 10 Zentner Zucker zum Zoo. Consonant R versus ER ending words. Bierbrauer Bauer braut braunes Bier. This one isn't very difficult in terms of tongue twisters, but it's a good way to help you pronounce the R sound when it's behind a consonant, and also when a word ends with ER, which is a completely different sound. Bierbrauer Bauer braut braunes Bier. Bierbrauer Bauer braut braunes Bier. U-Umlaut practice. Müller-Lömmer frühstückt schlüsselweise grünes Gemüse. One of the most difficult sounds to get the hang of is the U-Umlaut. It's technically a combination of U and E, but it more closely resembles the I in English. This tongue twister gives you plenty of chances to practice it. Müller-Lömmer frühstückt schlüsselweise grünes Gemüse. Müller-Lömmer frühstückt schlüsselweise grünes Gemüse. U-Umlaut versus OR. Bürsten mit harten Borsten bürsten besonders sauber. A lot of English speakers have trouble pronouncing the U-Umlaut. When it's alternated with the OR sound, as it is in this tongue twister, it draws attention to the way that you need to move your mouth. If you don't get your tongue out of the way, you'll end up saying the wrong vowel. Bürsten mit harten Borsten bürsten besonders sauber. Bürsten mit harten Borsten bürsten besonders sauber. Diphthongs. Weil lustige Leute laufend lachen, lachen lustige Leute auch beim Laufen. In this one you get a few diphthongs as well as a few vowel sounds on their own. It's in the transition between them that makes it difficult. Don't forget that EI is pronounced I, and IE is pronounced E. Also AU is AU, and EU is OI. Weil lustige Leute laufend lachen, lachen lustige Leute auch beim Laufen. Weil lustige Leute laufend lachen, lachen lustige Leute auch beim Laufen. Back CH practice. Der Koch roch auch noch in der Nacht nach Knoblauch. A sound that takes some practice to get is the back CH. It's the one that follows the open vowels such as A or O. In this tongue twister, you get a ton of practice for exactly that. Just don't practice it too much because you might give yourself a sore throat. Der Koch roch auch noch in der Nacht nach Knoblauch. Der Koch roch auch noch in der Nacht nach Knoblauch. Front CH practice. Echte Dichter dichten leichte bei Licht. Just as the previous tongue twister was great for practicing the back CH, this one is great for the front CH sound. Echte Dichter dichten leichter bei Licht. Echte Dichter dichten leichter bei Licht. CH versus CK. Der Dachdecker deckt dein Dach. Drum dankt dem Dachdecker, der dein Dach deckt. A common mistake I see with my own students is pronouncing CH as CK. This tongue twister alternates between the two flawlessly. This makes it great for practicing the two sounds. Der Dachdecker deckt dein Dach. Drum dankt dem Dachdecker, der dein Dach deckt. Der Dachdecker deckt dein Dach. Drum dankt dem Dachdecker, der dein Dach deckt. SCH practice. Schneiders Schere schneidet Schaf. Schaf schneidet Schneider Schere. If this sounds like gibberish to you, you're probably doing it right. That many sh sounds in one sentence is a lot to handle. Just don't forget that SCH is pronounced like the English SH. Sh. Schneider Schere schneidet Schaf, Schaf schneidet Schneider Schere. Schneider Schere schneidet Schaf, Schaf schneidet Schneider Schere. The letter D. Der dicke Dieter trägt den dünnen Dieter über den dicken Dreck. This one isn't very difficult, but it is good to remember that the German and the English letter D are pronounced the same. Der dicke Dieter trägt den dünnen Dieter über den dicken Dreck. Der dicke Dieter trägt den dünnen Dieter über den dicken Dreck. The letter F. Fischers Fritz fischt frische Fische. This one isn't bad from a pronunciation standpoint because the letter F is the same in both languages. It's only difficult because of the inclusion or exclusion of the R after the F. Fischers Fritz fischt frische Fische. Fischers Fritz fischt frische Fische. The letter J. Jedes Jahr im Juli essen Jana und Julia Johannisbeeren. The German J sound is the same as the English Y, which is why it's entertaining to say almost all of the words in this one with the letter J. Jedes Jahr im Juli essen Jana und Julia Johannisbeeren. Jedes Jahr im Juli essen Jana und Julia Johannisbeeren. The letter K. Kluge kleine Katzen kratzen keine Krokodile. The K sound in German is the same as it is in English. The only difficult part here is differentiating between KL and KR. Kluge, kleine Katzen kratzen keine Krokodile. Kluge kleine Katzen kratzen keine Krokodile. The letter W. Wer will weiße Wäsche waschen? While the vowel change from E to I to EI to A umlaut to A is the difficult part, what I want you to focus on here is the W sound, that is, sounds like the English V or V. It's this reason that Germans are often stereotyped as not being able to say the English W. Wer will weiße Wäsche waschen? Wer will weiße Wäsche waschen? The first greeting on my list for today is the easiest, as it's basically the same as the English hello, but Germans spell it with an A, and due to the two L's, we use the short A sound when we say hallo. Hallo. It's used exactly the same as it is in English, but is considered to be a little bit more informal than other greetings on our list for today. This isn't what I would use when greeting my potential boss at a job interview in German, but I might greet friends with hallo. And it's even used at the beginning of this video to greet all of you, Hallo Deutschlerner. You can also greet more than one person without addressing them individually by saying Hallo zusammen. It's like hello together. This makes it so that you don't necessarily have to go up to every person in the group and shake their hand and say hello. Hallo zusammen is again casual, but used in groups. Hallo on its own is casual enough, but you can actually make it more casual by adding some flair to your hallo. I personally find the following examples completely ridiculous, but some people use them, and usually they do this in an attempt to be humorous, so I kept them on the list. You can say Hallöchen, which is literally little hello, because the suffix chen is a diminutive, which means that it indicates that something is small. For example, eine Blume is a flower, while ein Blümchen is a little flower. Hallöchen is then a little hello. You can even make it more ridiculous by saying Halli, Hallo, Hallöchen. Halli, Hallo, Hallöchen? But that's basically like saying howdily doodly, which makes you sound like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. If that's the kind of personality that you want to portray, maybe this is the greeting for you. But suffice it to say that Hallöchen and all of its variations are very casual greetings and should only be used with people that you know well. The standard 3 greetings in German follow a similar pattern to the English greetings. In the morning, you say Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. In the middle of the day, up until a little bit into the noon hours, you would say Guten Tag. Guten Tag. In the evening, you would say Guten Abend. Guten Abend. These are more formal than saying Hallo, but aren't considered stiff in any way. I personally use these more often than any other greeting in German. The times of the day are pretty flexible with Guten Tag, as you can use this most of the day, but you wouldn't say Guten Morgen in the evening or Guten Abend in the morning. There isn't really like a specific hour of the day that constitutes time to use Guten Tag. While it's pretty obvious that you can't really use Guten Morgen afternoon, there isn't really a deadline for when you need to switch to Guten Abend. In fact, you can get away with never using Guten Abend and just say Guten Tag the entire day to everyone that you see. It's that versatile. If you're unsure which greeting to use, just say Guten Tag and you'll be safe. If it's in the morning, use Guten Morgen. If it's in the evening, use Guten Abend. If you're at work and your colleagues are going to lunch, you can greet them in passing with Mahlzeit. This basically translates as mealtime. This may sound like a weird way to greet people, but it's just like saying enjoy your meal as someone leaves to go to lunch. It's kind of a greeting for whenever people are leaving. Mahlzeit isn't really used to start a conversation or to end one necessarily. It's simply used in passing when you don't really intend to talk. Now let's get into some regional greetings. If you haven't heard this yet, Germany is full of many different dialects and variations of how German is spoken. This leads to some fun ways to say hello, but you need to know when to use them and where to use them so you don't use them in the wrong region. Moin is used in northern Germany. The etymology of this word is disputed. My money is on the theory that it's a derivative of the dialect version of Morgen, which then morphed into Moin. But there's also the theory that it came from the Middle Low German word for nice or bright or shiny, which indicates that it could mean something like have a good one. Whatever the case, the greeting Moin is used in northern Germany and is considered to be pretty casual. Servus is commonly used to greet people in southern Germany and in Austria. This one also doubles as a farewell, so it's basically like the Bavarian version of aloha. It means both hello and goodbye. Servus! A casual greeting in southern Germany and in Austria would be Grüß dich. Both Grüß dich and its more formal counterpart, Grüß Gott, share the same etymology. They both stem from the phrase Grüß dich Gott, which means something like God bless you. I generally translate it as greet you for Grüß dich and greetings from God for Grüß Gott. While these translations are less accurate than the previous ones I just gave you, it does help to convey the difference between the casual nature of Grüß dich and the more formal nature of Grüß Gott. You'll often hear Grüß Gott when you walk into a store in Bavaria and you're greeted by an employee. A third variation of this greeting is Grüß Sie, which basically just switches the dich, which is a form of the informal you in German, to the formal version Sie. Again, I would translate this as greet you, but this time it's considered to be more formal than Grüß dich. And it doesn't include the direct reference to God, although the original sentence is the same for all of these greetings. Grüß Sie is also used in southern Germany and in Austria. If you travel to Switzerland, you might hear yet another variant of this greeting as Grüezi. This is basically the same as Grüß Sie, as you can hear in the pronunciation, but the Swiss dialect morphs this greeting just a bit more to make it Grüezi. I don't know why, but the southern Germans have a lot of casual greetings. Next up on the list is sei gegrüßt, which is literally be greeted. It's considered casual as sei is the informal command form of the verb sein. This greeting is also listed as an archaic one in some dictionaries, so it's unlikely that you're ever going to encounter it, but some people still use it, so I thought I would include it. Sei gegrüßt. You can also say Glück auf in southern Germany. This one is listed as a bergmännischer Gruß in my dictionary, which means that it is a miner greeting. This is thought to have originated as a way for the miners to wish each other good luck and that they hoped that the mine didn't collapse. Auf means up, which indicates that they were wishing luck for the other miners to go back up when the work was done. Glück auf. The last one on my list for today is the fantastic German word that Trixie from Don't Trust the Rabbit made an entire video about because it means everything and nothing in German. That word, of course, is na. While there are a wide range of uses for this word which aren't greetings, when it is used as a greeting, it roughly translates as well. I think of it as yep, as used in the intro to King of the Hill, when the guys are just standing around by the fence saying yep to one another. Na is kind of a prompt for more information. It's a conversation starter. It's a way of getting your friend to tell you about their day without having to actually go through the phrase of how are you or what's going on. Na is the perfect casual greeting. Probably the most widely known farewell in German is Auf Wiedersehen. If you translate it literally, it means until again seeing or until we see each other again. It's also considered to be pretty formal. I personally almost never use Auf Wiedersehen unless I want to say something fancier than usual. You don't have to use the word auf in front of it either. You can simply say Wiedersehen, Auf Wiedersehen, or Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. If you're on the phone, you won't say Auf Wiedersehen because you aren't sehen, seeing that person right now. You're hearing them, so you say Auf Wiederhören. Auf Wiederhören. This means until we hear from each other again. Again, you can leave off the auf if you want to make it a bit shorter. Wiederhören. Auf Wiederhören. A similar farewell would be Wir sehen uns. This is like the English see you. It's more casual than Auf Wiedersehen, but the general meaning of seeing the other person again is still there. Wir sehen uns. Wir sehen uns. My preferred farewell is Tschüss. It's a much more casual, everyday farewell, and it's more likely what you're going to hear when German friends say goodbye to each other. This farewell evolved from the Latin adium, which eventually became the French adieu. This then evolved into Tschö in some dialects in German, but Tschüss in others. Due to some regions using the long vowel sound and others using the short vowel sound, the spelling of this farewell varies. It can be spelled with two S's, one S, or an SZ. I usually spell it with two S's, but my pronunciation is based on my mood at the time and not the spelling. I usually default to the short vowel sound, Tschüss, if I simply want to say goodbye but I'm not feeling overly enthusiastic about it. And I use the long vowel sound, Tschüss, or Tschüss, when I'm feeling a little bit more playful. I personally never spell it with an SZ as Duden only lists the single S and the double S version. You'll still see the SZ version, however, as not everyone agrees with the decision to leave that version out. So, it doesn't matter if you say Tschüss or Tschüss. Just remember that it's a casual farewell and shouldn't be the one that you choose when you're leaving a fancy dinner with some politicians. If I'm feeling particularly playful, sometimes I say Tschüssi, which is just a fun version of Tschüss. While we're on the topic of valedictions based on other languages, Germans also sometimes say ciao. The recommended spelling from Duden is Tschau, ciao, but many people still prefer the original Italian spelling, so you will see both. Just remember to pronounce it as ciao. Despite the original Italian meaning being a greeting and a farewell, Germans only use ciao as a farewell. In southern Germany and in Austria, you can say Servus. This is another informal farewell and can also be used as a greeting. Servus derives from the Latin phrase Servus humilus, which translates as I am a humble servant, but it doesn't carry this connotation in modern German. Servus in modern usage is simply a way of saying hello or goodbye in a less formal way. Guten Morgen, Guten Tag, and Guten Abend are all greetings, but Gute Nacht is a farewell. This is the same in English. I say this every night to my daughter when I put her to bed. Gute Nacht, Kleine. Schlaf gut. Gute Nacht. Gute Nacht, Kleine. Schlaf gut. Gute Nacht, Kleine. Schlaf gut. In my last video, I mentioned the greeting Mahlzeit as it's used whenever people are going to lunch at work. You can also use this as a farewell in the exact same circumstances. Mahlzeit. Mahlzeit. While you can't say Guten Tag as a farewell, you can say Schönen Tag noch, which roughly translates as have a nice rest of your day. Literally, it's just beautiful day still, but you get the idea. The greeting really only works if there's enough of the day left to merit saying rest of your day. As you leave a store, an employee might say Schönen Tag noch. Technically speaking, you can use any greeting with the word noch behind it, and it would mean something similar. Guten Morgen noch would be have a nice morning. Guten Abend noch would be have a nice evening. Those versions, however, are not common, and you might get a weird look if you say them. Stay on the safe side and just stick to Schönen Tag noch. Schönen Tag noch. If someone is going on a trip, you can say Gute Fahrt. Gute Fahrt. This is like wishing them a good trip. This farewell only works if they're driving, however. If they're traveling by any other means or you don't know how they're traveling, it's probably safer to say Gute Reise. The meaning of these two are basically the same, but gute Fahrt includes the word Fahrt, which is used when driving, as opposed to any other kind of trip. Gute Reise is a more general farewell. Gute Reise. Gute Fahrt. There are several ways to say take care in German. The first one on my list is mach's gut. This literally translates as do it well. You can respond to this farewell with du auch, which is like you too. Or if you're feeling more playful, you can play off of the literal translation of this farewell and say mach's besser, which is like do it better. Mach's gut. Mach's besser. Du auch. Mach's gut. Mach's besser. Du auch. A more literal translation of the farewell take care would be pass auf dich auf. Pass auf dich auf. Pass auf dich auf. The verb aufpassen means to watch out or pay attention. The literal translation of pass auf dich auf would be watch out for yourself or pay attention to yourself. I think this gets the general idea of the English farewell take care. Pass auf dich auf. Pass auf dich auf. The last version of take care on my list is leb wohl. Leb wohl. This is like a final goodbye. It's like saying have a nice life. Leb wohl is like the word farewell in English as it suggests finality. If you want to be more rude, you can also play on the classic Auf Wiedersehen and say Auf Nimmerwiedersehen. Auf Nimmerwiedersehen. It's like until we never see each other again. While leb wohl is a bit sad that you won't get to see them again, auf Nimmerwiedersehen sounds like you're looking forward to the fact that you won't see them again. Leb wohl. Leb wohl. Auf Nimmerwiedersehen. Auf Nimmerwiedersehen. If you want to say good luck in German as a farewell, you have two options. Viel Glück is the more common one and literally means much luck. But you can also say viel Erfolg, which is like wishing someone much success. Viel Glück is much more universal, but viel Erfolg can only be used before something that would require success. You can also say viel Glück if you kidnap Liam Neeson's daughter and you don't think that he actually has that particular set of skills that make him a nightmare for people like you. Viel Glück. Viel Glück. Viel Glück. Viel Erfolg. Viel Erfolg. Viel Erfolg. Speaking of wishing people well, you can also say alles Gute. Alles Gute. Which is used for wishing people happy birthday and other special occasions, but can also be used to say farewell. Alles Gute literally translates to all the best. Alles Gute. Alles Gute. The most versatile farewell on my list for today is any combination with the word bis in it. Bis means until. This is used for see you in English. You can simply add when you will see that person again at the end, and now you have your farewell. The options are endless. Bis dann. Bis dann. See you then. Bis später. Bis später. See you later. Bis nachher. Bis nachher. See you afterwards. Bis morgen. Bis morgen. Bis übermorgen. Bis übermorgen. Bis 10 Uhr. Bis 10 Uhr. Bis heute Abend. Bis heute Abend. Bis heute Nachmittag. Bis heute Nachmittag. And the one that I use at the end of every single video, bis zum nächsten Mal. Until next time. Bis zum nächsten Mal. You may have noticed in the last two videos that I mentioned the difference between formal and informal greetings and farewells. This concept isn't just limited to these. It also shows up in the second person pronouns. Second person just means you in English, or it's the person or group of persons that you're talking to and not about. It doesn't matter to whom you are speaking exactly. In English, you is always you. In German, however, there are three basic forms of you. The one that you need to know first is Sie. Sie. This is the formal version. It can be used in the singular form, addressing one person, or in the plural form, addressing more than one person. While I call this the formal version, it isn't necessarily overly formal. What I mean by this is, you don't have to use Sie just because somebody is wearing a suit and tie. It's actually much more simple than that. For the most part, this form is used with people that you don't know, but more specifically, it's used with people that you don't know well. For instance, you would definitely use Sie with the police officer who just pulled you over. But what about the cashier at the local grocery store? You go there 2, maybe 3 times a week, and you see this person every single time. You know them, sort of, but you'll still address them with Sie in German. This is the same form for your doctor, a cashier, a waiter or waitress, a public servant, or even just some stranger you found on the street. Here are a few examples of when you would use Sie. You're asking your teacher a question after class. Entschuldigen Sie, können Sie mir helfen? Entschuldigen Sie, können Sie mir helfen? You're asking for directions on the street. Können Sie mir sagen, wo der Hauptbahnhof ist? Können Sie mir sagen, wo der Hauptbahnhof ist? Können Sie mir sagen, wo der Hauptbahnhof ist? You're at the checkout counter at Aldi and the cashier asks you something. Brauchen Sie heute eine Einkaufstasche? Brauchen Sie heute eine Einkaufstasche? Brauchen Sie heute eine Einkaufstasche? Your waiter comes up to your table to get your order. Bringen Sie mir den Rinderbraten bitte. Bringen Sie mir den Rinderbraten bitte. Bringen Sie mir den Rinderbraten bitte. Since you're likely just visiting Germany, most of the people that you meet should be addressed with Sie. This is because you aren't familiar enough with any of those people to use the other forms. This form is also easy for beginners to conjugate. That means that your subject and your verb match. The present tense verb is almost always the same as the infinitive, the version that you'll see in a dictionary. It might be easier to understand when to use Sie if you understand when to use du and ihr. Both of these versions of you are informal. This means that they're used with family members and friends of yours. It also is used with pets, children up to about the age of 15, students, fellow blue-collar workers, and members of certain clubs. The rule of thumb that I use for this is, do I address this person as Mr. or Mrs. whoever they are, or do I use their first name? In short, if you are in doubt, use Sie. If I use their first name, I probably use du with them, but this isn't always the case. Most waiters and waitresses will introduce themselves with their first name, but you'll use Sie with them. While Sie can be used to address one or more people, du can only be used to address one person at a time. If you're saying you all, y'all, or you guys, you use ihr. Here are a few examples. If you're talking to your brother or your sister, you say, Was magst du heute? Was magst du heute? Was magst du heute? If you're talking to your brother and your sister, you would say, Was macht ihr heute? Was macht ihr heute? Was macht ihr heute? If you're talking to your dog, you would say, Du bist ein braver Hund. Du bist ein braver Hund. Du bist ein braver Hund. If you're talking to your cats, Ihr dürft nicht auf das Sofa. Ihr dürft nicht auf das Sofa. Ihr dürft nicht auf das Sofa. If you're talking to your neighbor's 4-year-old boy, Hast du ein neues Fahrrad? Hast du ein neues Fahrrad? Hast du ein neues Fahrrad? The child responds to you with, Ich habe dieses Fahrrad seit Mai. Haben Sie es noch nicht gesehen? Ich habe dieses Fahrrad seit Mai. Haben Sie es noch nicht gesehen? Ich habe dieses Fahrrad seit Mai. Haben Sie es noch nicht gesehen? If you're talking to your neighbor's children, you would say, Habt ihr einen Hund zu Hause? Habt ihr einen Hund zu Hause? Habt ihr einen Hund zu Hause? The children answer with, Ja, wollen Sie ihn treffen? Ja, wollen Sie ihn treffen? Ja, wollen Sie ihn treffen? The only time that you have this uneven do and Sie conversation is when an adult is speaking with a child. The child uses the Sie form with the adult, and the adult uses the do form when speaking to the child. In any other situation, the form of address will be the same for both speakers. If you haven't picked up on the pattern yet, when you use Sie as the subject of your sentence, the verb ends with en. Ihr requires a T, and du requires ST. Getting the subject and verb to match or agree is called conjugation. Let me show you a few examples side by side with each of the forms so that you can see this more clearly. Gehst du nach Hause? Geht ihr nach Hause? Gehen Sie nach Hause? Gehst du nach Hause? Geht ihr nach Hause? Gehen Sie nach Hause? Was kaufst du online? Was kauft ihr online? Was kaufen Sie online? Was kaufst du online? Was kauft ihr online? Was kaufen Sie online? Du kennst mich nicht. Ihr kennt mich nicht. Sie kennen mich nicht. Du kennst mich nicht. Ihr kennt mich nicht. Sie kennen mich nicht. Okay, now you've got a bit of an idea of when to use each of these pronouns. But what happens when you or the other person wants to transition from Sie to du? As a non-native speaker, I would recommend waiting for the German to offer the do form rather than you offering in the opposite direction. It's best to remain in the Sie form. Offering the do form to someone is always done from the older person or the person of higher rank and not the other way around. This rule of thumb will help you to avoid the awkward Danke, aber ich würde gerne beim Sie bleiben. Danke, aber ich würde gerne beim Sie bleiben. Danke, aber ich würde gerne beim Sie bleiben. In order to offer the do form to someone, Germans use a variety of different phrases. The most common ones would include these. Sie können gerne du zu mir sagen. Sie können gerne du zu mir sagen. Sie können gerne du zu mir sagen. Sie können mich ruhig duzen. Sie können mich ruhig duzen. Sie können mich ruhig duzen. Wir sagen du hier. Wir sagen du hier. Wir sagen du hier. Wollen wir uns nicht duzen? Wollen wir uns nicht duzen? Wollen wir uns nicht duzen? You'll notice that even when offering the do form to someone, Germans will remain with the Sie form as the person being offered the do form hasn't accepted yet. It's also common to avoid using do or Sie when offering the do form, as was shown in the last example. Today I'm going to teach you what to do if you don't speak enough German to survive a conversation with a German. Having me stand at this podium all the time is a bit dull, so let's switch things up and go meet some people on the street and see how we can navigate a conversation with very little knowledge of the German language. Scene 1.
Entschuldigen Sie, können Sie mir helfen? Mein Sohn ist im Krankenhaus und ich habe nicht genug Geld für den Bus dabei. Ich bitte Sie um etwas Kleingeld. Können Sie etwas Geld erübrigen?
Ich verstehe nicht. Ich spreche kein Deutsch.
Mein Sohn ist im Krankenhaus. Ich brauche Geld. Haben Sie Geld?
Es tut mir leid. Ich spreche nur ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich kann Sie nicht verstehen. Scene 2. Entschuldigung, sprechen Sie Englisch?
Yes, I speak a little English.
Oh, thank goodness. Could you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
I'm sorry, I'm just visiting. I don't know either.
Scene 3.
Meine Damen
Damen und Herren, bleiben Sie bitte zurück. Sie können hier nicht durch. Bitte benutzen Sie die Nebenstraßen, solange wir diese Straße gesperrt haben. Ich verstehe nicht. Können Sie das wiederholen? Können Sie langsamer sprechen? Sie dürfen hier nicht durch. Sie müssen die Sperrung umgehen. Können Sie das ins Englische übersetzen? Go around. As you can see, there are several phrases that you can use to get the point across that you don't know what someone else is saying and you need a bit of help. Let's go back through the list and break it down for you. I'll show you some of the alternative versions of these sentences as well. If you simply want to switch to English so you can ask the question that you need or you can make sure that you understand everything, you can say, Sprechen Sie Englisch? Sprechen Sie Englisch? Sprechen Sie Englisch? If you want to ask them directly to speak English, you can say, Können Sie mit mir Englisch sprechen? Können Sie mit mir Englisch sprechen? Können Sie mit mir Englisch sprechen? Or, können wir Englisch sprechen? Können wir Englisch sprechen? Können wir Englisch sprechen? You could also say, können Sie das übersetzen? Können Sie das übersetzen? Können Sie das übersetzen? If you want to specifically ask them to translate to English, you could say, können Sie das ins Englische übersetzen? Können Sie das ins Englische übersetzen? Können Sie das ins Englische übersetzen? If you simply want to explain that you don't understand what they said, you can say, ich verstehe nicht. Ich verstehe nicht. Ich verstehe nicht. If you want to go into a bit more detail about why you don't understand, you could say, ich spreche nur ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich spreche nur ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich spreche nur ein bisschen Deutsch. Alternatively, you could say, ich spreche nur ein wenig Deutsch. Ich spreche nur ein wenig Deutsch. Ich spreche nur ein wenig Deutsch. Or, ich spreche nur ein paar Wörter Deutsch. Ich spreche nur ein paar Wörter Deutsch. Ich spreche nur ein paar Wörter Deutsch. Another version would be, mein Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut. Mein Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut. Mein Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut. If you really speak no German or you aren't confident in your German skills, you could say, ich spreche kein Deutsch. Ich spreche kein Deutsch. Ich spreche kein Deutsch. Or, ich kann kein Deutsch sprechen. Ich kann kein Deutsch sprechen. Ich kann kein Deutsch sprechen. If you kind of understood what they said but you want to make sure, you could ask them to repeat what they just said by saying, können Sie das wiederholen? Können Sie das wiederholen? Können Sie das wiederholen? If the speed of the conversation is the issue, you could say, können Sie das langsamer wiederholen? Können Sie das langsamer wiederholen? Können Sie das langsamer wiederholen? Or, können Sie langsamer sprechen? Können Sie langsamer sprechen? There's also the command version of this request. Sprechen Sie bitte langsamer. Sprechen Sie bitte langsamer. Sprechen Sie bitte langsamer. You could of course be more direct and just say langsam bitte. Langsam bitte. Langsam bitte. Don't forget you need to use Z in these phrases. As I mentioned in my last video, you don't know these people well enough to use the familiar forms. Now you know how to navigate a German conversation without really knowing all that much German. Just a few quick phrases can get you out of a sticky situation. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a like and leave a comment down below letting me know what you found most helpful. We're going to start off with the pronunciation of the German alphabet. First one, of course, is ah. Ah. This is what you say to your doctor when he tells you to open wide. Ah. Next up, B. B. This is like the incredibly dumb English slang word bay, but instead of ending with the Y sound where your mouth kind of goes up at the end, you keep your mouth straight as it was at the beginning of the sound. B. B. C. C. Like say, but again without that Y sound at the end of it again. C. C. TS sound at the beginning, and then C. 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 D. 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 Like day, but again, you guessed it, no Y sound at the end. D. D. A. A. Like the previous three letters, but this time without the consonant in front. A. A. F. F. It's literally the exact same as the English letter F. F. G. G. This is where it becomes slightly more important that you don't pronounce the letter Y at the end of the letter. G. G. Ha. Ha. This is the sound that some of you made when I said the last letter. Ha. Ha. E. E. It sounds like the English long E sound. This also explains why the German long I sound is more like the English long E sound. The letter is E. E. Yacht. Yacht. Like the word yacht in English, but instead of pronouncing it like a short A in the middle, you say it like a German short O. Yacht. Yacht. Ka. Ka. Like a person from Boston trying to say car. Ka. Ka. L. Exactly like it is in English. L. L. M. M. Exactly like it is in English. N. N. Exactly like it is in English. O. O. In English, we have a tendency to put a sound like a W at the end, but in German, it's just a straight O sound. It's O. O. Not O, where your mouth kind of curls up at the end, but just O. Pay. Pay. Like pay, but again without that Y sound at the end. Pay. Pay. Kuh. Kuh. This is also the German word for a cow. Think of the word cool and then chop off the letter L at the end. Kuh. Kuh. Air. Air. Think about the place where you wave your hands sometimes and sing Ayo. You know, I wave my hands up in the air sometimes. Yeah, something like that, except air. Air. Slightly different. You just barely pronounce the R on there. You could, if you really want to, add a little bit of that consonant R that I taught you in the second video in this series. Air. S. S. This is exactly the sound as it is in English. S. SZ. SZ. It's like a combination of the letters S and Z, which is why it's called an SZ. It's pronounced like the sharp S, which is that S sound, and is used to indicate that the vowel in front of it is a long vowel sound. SZ, SZ. Te, te. Like a nickname for someone named Taylor, Tay-Tay, but again without that Y sound at the end. Te-te, te, te. Ooh, ooh. Like you're standing in amazement of something. Ooh. But don't drag it out that long. Ooh. Ooh. Foul. Foul. As I mentioned in the consonant pronunciation video, the letter V in German is almost always pronounced as an F sound. This is the reason for the letter being named foul. Think of it as the word foul, but again, lose that L at the end and you just end up with foul. Foul. Weh. Weh. Like the expression oh weh, but again, don't have that Y sound at the end. Weh. Weh. X. X. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The X sound at the end of the word licks is exactly what you're looking for this letter. X is in fact just KS. X. X. Ypsilon. Ypsilon. When I mess up, I usually say oops. But if you modify the vowel sound in that and make it sound more like the German U umlaut, you end up with yps. Yps. If I ever open a hair salon in Germany, I'm going to name it Y, because it's a salon that makes a lot of mistakes because I can't cut hair, so it would be the Yps salon. Ypsilon. Ypsilon. Z. Z. Start with the word that, then make it into a contraction, that's. Then add it to complete your sentence and say, that's it. That's it. Now change the I in it to a German E sound. Et. That's et. Now remove the THA from that's and you end up with ts. And now you have zet. Zet. That's et. That's et. Zet. Zet. In German, ö, and ü are referred to as die Umlaute. You can say these letters as A mit Umlaut, O mit Umlaut, and U mit Umlaut, but officially they are ö, and ü. You should only use the mit Umlaut options if you're trying to clarify what you said because someone misunderstood you. Ö, ü. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Wunderbar. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Das ist nett. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Wunderbar. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Das ist nett. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Wunderbar. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Das ist nett. And now for a fun little skit.
Herzlich willkommen bei Mastercard. Ich bin Fred. Darf ich nach Ihrem Namen fragen?
Ich heiße Levi Antrim.
Wie buchstabiert man das?
L-E-V-I.
Und Ihren Nachnamen?
A-N-T-R-I-M.
Woher kommen Sie?
Ich komme aus Edwardsville.
Wie buchstabiert man das?
E-D-W-A-R-D-S-V-I-L-L-E.
In welchem Land befindet sich Edwardsville?
Edwardsville liegt in Illinois in den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika.
Wie buchstabiert man das?
I-L-L-I-N-O-I-S.
Nein, ich meine Vereinigte Staaten von Amerika.
Sie wissen nicht, wie man Vereinigte Staaten von Amerika buchstabiert.
Genau, deshalb frage ich.
Okay. V-E-R-E-I-N-I-G-T-E-S-T-A-A-T-E-N-V-O-N-A-M-E-R-I-K-A. Darf ich jetzt aufhören, alles zu buchstabieren? Meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen zum 15. jährlichen Buchstabierwettbewerb. Heute fangen wir mit Leon an, der 10-jährige Junge aus Potsdam. Leon, bist du bereit? Ja. Okay, dein erstes Wort lautet Zebrastreifen. Zebrastreifen. Okay, Zebrastreifen. Z-E-B-R-A-S-T-R-E-I-F-E-N. Zebrastreifen. Gut gemacht. Dein nächstes Wort lautet Chinesisch. 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 C-H-I-N-E-S-I-S-C-H. Chinesisch. Noch einmal richtig. Nächstes Wort Joghurt. 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 J-O-G-H-U-R-T. Joghurt. Und das letzte Wort für heute: Rindfleischetikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. Rindfleischetikettierungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. Rindfleischetikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. PQUXY. Leider ist das falsch. Vielleicht klappt's beim nächsten Mal. Was macht er? Er spielt Basketball. Was macht sie? Sie spielt Fußball. Was macht er? Er geht nach Hause. Was macht sie? Sie geht ins Kino. Was macht er? Er bringt eine Pizza. Was macht sie? Sie bringt einen Hamburger. Was macht er? Er bleibt zu Hause. Was macht sie? Sie bleibt in der Schule. Was macht er? Er wartet auf den Bus. Was macht sie? Sie wartet auf den Zug. Was macht er? Er sucht nach seinem Schlüssel. Was macht sie? Sie sucht nach Schokolade. Was macht er? Er findet seinen Schlüssel. Was macht sie? Sie findet Schokolade. Was macht er? Er arbeitet als Lehrer. Was macht sie? Sie arbeitet als Architektin. Was macht sie? Sie lernt für ein Quiz. Was macht er? Er lernt für eine Prüfung. Was macht er? Er bekommt ein Eis. Was macht sie? Sie bekommt einen Preis. Was macht er? Er liegt auf dem Sofa. Was macht sie? Sie liegt auf dem Boden. Was macht sie? Sie legt den Bleistift auf den Stuhl. Was macht er? Er legt das Papier auf den Tisch. Was macht er? Er sitzt auf dem Sessel. Was macht sie? Sie sitzt auf dem Hocker. Was macht er? Er setzt die Puppe in den Hochstuhl. Was macht sie? Sie setzt sich auf das Sofa. Was macht er? Er steht in der Küche. Was macht sie? Sie steht im Wohnzimmer. Was macht sie? Sie stellt das Glas auf den Tisch. Was macht er? Er stellt die Tasse auf den Tisch. Was macht er? Er zeigt uns ein Foto. Was macht sie? Sie zeigt auf ihre Haare. Was macht er? Er denkt über Essen. Was macht sie? Sie denkt über Politik. Was macht er? Er spricht zu viel. Was macht sie? Sie spricht nicht. Was macht er? Er erzählt eine Geschichte. Was macht sie? Sie erzählt ein Märchen. Was macht er? Er redet mit sich selbst. Was macht sie? Sie redet mit Freunden. Was macht er? Er schreibt einen Brief. Was macht sie? Sie schreibt eine E-Mail. Was macht er? Er öffnet die Tür. Was macht sie? Sie öffnet das Fenster. Was macht er? Er schließt die Tür. Was macht sie? Sie schließt das Fenster. The full list of German subject pronouns looks like this. Ich means I. Du is you singular familiar or informal. Er means he or the masculine it. Sie means she or the feminine it. Es is it and is neuter. Wir means we. Ihr is you, but this time plural and familiar or informal. Sie means they. And the last Z means you, which is singular or plural, and it's infamiliar or formal. Don't get confused about the fact that I labeled Z as singular or plural. It isn't ambiguous. It's not like it could be either or and you don't know which one it is. What I mean by this is that this pronoun can be used to address one person, haben Sie Kinder, Herr Meier? Do you have children, Mr. Meyer? Or to address more than one person, haben Sie Kinder, Herr und Frau Meier? Do you have children, Mr. and Mrs. Meyer? Ich is the first pronoun on most pronoun charts and lists. It simply means I in English and is used exactly like you would expect it to be. It is one of two first-person pronouns. I briefly mentioned the idea of first person, second person, and third person in my video about du, ihr, and sie. In case you're forgotten, the first person is used when the speaker is the subject. In German, there are two of these pronouns. Ich is what we call the first person singular. It means I. Wir is the first person plural. Wir is the German version of we. It's used exactly as it is in English. If you and another person or more are referred to with a single pronoun, you use wir. Mein Bruder und ich. My brother and I. Wir. Dieser Mann da drüben und ich. That guy over there and I. Wir. You get the idea. There are 3 second-person pronouns in German. All of these translate as you in English. Du and ihr are used with people with whom you are familiar. This includes family members and friends, but also children, even if they're not your own, and pets or just animals in general. Du is used to address one person, and ihr is used to address more than one person. Sie is used with people that you don't know well, or people of authority. This one again could be singular if you're addressing one person, or plural if you're addressing multiple. There are 3 third-person singular pronouns in German. We have the same thing in English, but they're used slightly differently. In German we have er, sie, and es, but in English we have he, she, and it. This sounds simple enough on the surface. If you're talking about a masculine person or animal, you use er, he. Der Mann, the man, er, he. When you're talking about a feminine person or animal, you use sie, she. Die Frau, the woman, sie, she. If you're talking about a thing that doesn't have an intrinsic gender, you use es. Das Fenster, the window. Es, it. The problem when you use the pronouns er and sie is that they don't always mean he and she. Any noun in German that takes the masculine article der will use the subject pronoun er, and any noun that uses the feminine article die will use sie. If the noun uses the neuter article das, the pronoun will be es. Since I haven't mentioned this concept in any other videos yet, now is a good time to explain the concept of noun genders. Every noun in German is assigned a grammatical gender. This gender is sometimes assigned based on the intrinsic gender of the person or animal to which it refers, as the examples I showed you earlier did. However, it becomes much more random when we start talking about non-living objects. For instance, der Löffel is a spoon and is masculine, while die Gabel is a fork and is feminine, and das Messer is a knife and is neuter. What's even more confusing to beginners is the noun Mädchen in German translates as girl in English, which clearly has an intrinsic gender associated with it, but the noun's gender is neuter, das Mädchen. The German word for a mannequin is Männchen, and despite having the word Mann in it, which means man, this noun is neuter, das Männchen. While on the surface these nouns being neuter seems random, it's actually because of the suffix chen, which forces the noun to take the neuter gender. There are other rules and patterns that are helpful when identifying the gender of a German noun, but as a beginner this will likely seem random. I have a few videos with tips on figuring this out which go into a lot more depth than I can in this video. You can find those linked in the description. For now, stick to memorizing the gender of each noun as you learn it so you don't mix this up. Trust me, it will be a lot better off if you learn the genders of each noun now so you can prevent a myriad of other issues you could cause by not knowing them. For now, stick to knowing that if the noun you are replacing uses the article der, use er as the pronoun. For nouns using the article die, use sie, and for nouns using the article das, use es. There is also the pronoun Mann, which usually isn't included on lists and charts like this one, but it is incredibly helpful to know. This pronoun can be translated in several ways in English. It can mean they, one, or the ambiguous you. This pronoun can be used in sentences like this one. One does not simply walk into Mordor. Or, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Or basically any sentence that starts with they say. The pronoun Mann acts like er or sie, but without the need to pay attention to biological gender. You can also address people with der or die instead of using er or sie. If you use the article der or die instead of using the respective pronouns er and sie, you are expressing a distance between you and the person to whom you are referring with that word. For example, das ist Sascha, sie ist meine Freundin. This is Sasha, she is my girlfriend. Versus, das ist Sascha, die kommt aus Frankfurt. This is Sasha, this person comes from Frankfurt. The only other pronoun on the list that I haven't talked about today is the third person plural. This is basically a plural version of er, sie, and es, or in English we would just say they. If you aren't talking directly to a group of people or things, but instead are talking about them, you use the pronoun sie in German. Now I know what you're thinking, there are 3 Z's on this chart. I get it, that can get really confusing, but there are ways to tell them apart most of the time. Conjugation is one of those ways, which is what I'll get to in the next grammar lesson. The pronoun that is now used as the formal you in German is actually derived from the third person plural sie, which is they in English. This comes from the idea that if you were to show someone respect back in the olden days, you shouldn't address them directly at all, which means that sie is less a formal version of you than a capitalized version of they. This also explains the reason why sie and sie are always the same on these charts, and they always take the same form of the verb. Conjugation is the process of changing the verb to match the subject of the sentence. Since you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you speak English well enough to understand how this works in English. There are usually only 2 forms of a verb in English. For example, I go, you go, he goes, we go, they go. Your options are either go or goes. If you mix them up, people will look at you kind of funny. I goes to the store. You sound like Ralph from The Simpsons. In the German version, there are a lot more options. Let's start with the verb sagen to see what I mean. Sagen, to say. Ich sage, du sagst, er sagt, sie sagt, es sagt, wir sagen, ihr sagt, Sie sagen, Sie sagen. We start with the verb infinitive, which is a fancy way of saying the version that you find in the dictionary. Remove the en at the end. The form without the en is called the verb stem. Then add the endings e, st, t, en, t, and en. Usually when I make a conjugation chart, they look like this, and I read them like this. Ich sage, du sagst, sie, es sagt, wir sagen, ihr sagt, sie sagen, sie sagen. I'd like to show you a few more examples, but conjugation charts are boring and don't teach you much vocabulary, so instead I'll show you example sentences with some of the most commonly used verbs in the German language. For the third person singular, sie, and es, I'll just show you one of those three pronouns in an example sentence. I'll do the same thing for they, sie, and you, sie. Machen, to do or make. Ich mache das Bett. I make the bed, or I am making the bed. Du machst mich glücklich. You make me happy, or you are making me happy. Macht einen Rückzieher. He is making a retraction, or he makes a retraction. Wir machen Musik. We are making music, or we make music. Ihr macht einen guten Job. You are doing a good job, or you do a good job. Sie machen ein Angebot. They are making an offer, or they make an offer. Kommen, to come. Ich komme gleich wieder. I am coming right back. Kommst du mit ins Kino? Are you coming to the movies? Sie kommt nach Hause. She is coming home. Wir kommen zu dir. We are coming to you. Kommt ihr zum Abendessen? Are you coming to dinner? Woher kommen Sie? Where do you come from? Or where are you from? Of course, you don't have to use pronouns in order to use that form of the verb. Pronouns replace nouns, so logically you should be able to use a noun instead of a pronoun. You can't really do this with ich, as using your own name would mean that you change to the third person singular form, either or sie, he or she. Also, it makes you sound like a weirdo to speak in the third person. It's either that or you're Elmo. Elmo wants to play a game. Elmo likes games. You can't get around using the pronoun du either, as you actually have to say you. Anyway, here are some examples of a verb without as many pronouns. Gehen, to go. Ich gehe ins Bett. I am going to bed. Gehst du in die Schule? Are you going to school? Das Mädchen geht nicht ans Telefon. The girl is not going to the telephone. You could also say, es geht nicht ans Telefon. Mein Bruder und ich gehen in den Park. My brother and I are going to the park. You could also say, wir gehen in den Park. Du und dein Bruder geht jetzt zur Schule. You and your brother are now going to school. Ihr geht jetzt zur Schule. Der Mann und seine Frau gehen zur Bibliothek. The man and his wife are going to the library. You could also say, Sie gehen zur Bibliothek. Certain verbs don't take the st for the do form. Instead, they simply take t. The last letter of the stem of these verbs are one of the following: s, sz, x, or z. The reason is that you simply wouldn't actually hear the s sound at the st ending, so we just leave it out of the conjugation. The rest of the verb forms are normal. I'll give you an example of each. Reisen, to travel. Ich reise gern nach Deutschland. I like to travel to Germany. Reist du nach Berlin? Are you traveling to Berlin? Der Mann reist nicht. The man is not traveling. Meine Familie und ich reisen durch Europa. My family and I are traveling through Europe. Wohin reist ihr? To where are you traveling? Die Kinder reisen mit ihren Eltern. The children are traveling with their parents. Heißen, to be called. Ich heiße Levi. I am called Levi. Wie heißt du? How are you called? What is your name? Sie heißt Sandra. She is called Sandra. Wir heißen Jim und Bob. We're called Jim and Bob. Wie heißt ihr? How are you called? Wie heißen Sie? How are you called? What is your name? Relaxen. To relax. Ich relaxe in meinem Haus. I am relaxing in my house. Warum relaxst du nicht? Why don't you relax? Relaxt im Park. He is relaxing in the park. Wir relaxen zusammen. We relaxed together. Relaxt ihr oft? Do you often relax? Die Studenten relaxen in der Mensa. The students are relaxing in the dining hall. Setzen. To set, put, or place. Ich setze mich hin. I am setting myself down. Warum setzt du dich nicht auf das Sofa? Why don't you set yourself down on the sofa? Der Hund setzt sich in der Küche hin. The dog sets himself down in the kitchen. Wir setzen die Kuscheltiere auf den Tisch. We are setting the stuffed animals on the table. Was setzt ihr auf den Boden? What are you setting on the floor? Setzen Sie sich hin? Are you setting yourself down? If the last letter of the verb stem is D or T, you need to add E between the stem, the part of the verb before the EN, and the conjugation ending for du, sie, es, and ihr, because otherwise the word would be practically impossible to pronounce. The additional E makes the word easier to pronounce. Here are some examples of this. Finden, to find. Ich finde dich süß. I think you're cute. Findest du die Katze? Are you finding the cat? Or have you found the cat? If you're trying to say this sentence without the additional E between the stem and the ending, you would end up with findst. It's a struggle to get this word out like this, so we add the E, findest. Die Lehrerin findet den Fehler. The teacher finds the mistake. Wir finden einfach keine Wohnung. We simply aren't finding an apartment, meaning you're having trouble finding one. Findet ihr mich hübsch? Do you find me handsome? Please don't actually answer this question in the comments. Die Bewerber finden Jobs. The applicants find jobs. Arbeiten, to work. Ich arbeite als Lehrer. I am working as a teacher. Wo arbeitest du heutzutage? Where do you work nowadays? Meine Mutter arbeitet in einer Anwaltskanzlei. My mother works in a law firm. Mein Kumpel und ich arbeiten am Auto. My buddy and I are working on the car. Arbeitet ihr zusammen? Are you working together? Die Verbrecher arbeiten einen Plan aus. The criminals are working out a plan. Adding an E is also necessary when the verb stem ends with two consonants that make different sounds. This isn't very common, but it is important to know. Atmen, to breathe. Ich atme tief ein. I breathe in deeply. Du atmest aus. You breathe out. Der Opfer atmet nicht mehr. The victim is not breathing anymore. Wir atmen dieselbe Luft. We are breathing the same air. Ihr atmet Sauerstoff. You breathe oxygen. Die Fische atmen im Wasser. The fish breathe in the water. To be clear, this rule does not apply when you have two of the same consonants together, as we saw in the verb kommen, or if you have two consonants that flow together. This includes the verb folgen, which has two consonants, L and G, which are next to each other, but because they flow together when you say them, you don't need to separate the stem and the verb ending with the extra E. Folgen, to follow. Ich folge deinem Schatten. I am following your shadow. Verfolgst du die Nachrichten? Do you follow the news? In this sentence, I added the prefix ver, but the verb conjugation is the same. Der Sklave folgt dem Sklavenbesitzer. The slave follows the slave owner. Wir folgen unserer Mutter. We are following our mother. Folgt ihr mir auf Twitter? Do you follow me on Twitter? Folgen Sie Trixie auf Instagram? Do you follow Trixie on Instagram? Some verbs don't end in en, but instead end in just an n. If this happens, you simply remove the n in order to find your stem. When you get to the form of the verb that takes an en usually, you simply add n instead. Handeln, to deal or trade. Ich handle das. Ich handle das. I am dealing with that. I will deal with that. Here you have the option of removing the e before the l to make it flow nicer. It's not necessary, however. It is perfectly acceptable to keep that extra e in there. You also might hear ich handle, which is technically not correct. Just know that some native speakers might say it that way. Wie handelst du das? How are you dealing with that? Es handelt von einem Mädchen. It deals with a girl. Wir handeln mit Dow Jones Aktien. We trade with Dow Jones Industrial Average stock. Handelt ihr an der New Yorker Börse? Do you trade on the New York Stock Exchange? Die Börsenhändler handeln nicht nur an der New Yorker Börse, sondern auch an der Nasdaq. The stockbrokers trade not only on the New York Stock Exchange, but also on the Nasdaq. Let's start with the most basic of basic questions. Wie heißen Sie? Wie heißen Sie? What is your name? Or more literally, how are you called? This is obviously the formal version of this question. You could also ask, Wie heißt du? Wie heißt du? If the person you are addressing is a young person or the conversation is taking place online, where most people correspond using the du version of you. You can also use Wie heißt ihr? Wie heißt ihr? Wie heißt ihr? If you are addressing more than one person. In order to answer this question, you would say Ich heiße. Ich heiße. And then your name. If you're answering for yourself and another person, you could say Wir heißen and then both of your names, but it's much more common to introduce yourself as Ich heiße and then your name, followed by Das ist and then the other person's name. For example, Wie heißt du? Ich heiße Levi. Wie heißt ihr? Ich heiße Levi und das ist Sophia. You can also answer this question using a form of the verb sein, which I'll talk about in more detail in a few weeks. The form that you need with ich is bin. Ich bin. So your answer would be ich bin and then your name. If you're answering for more than one person, you again could say wir sind and then both of your names, but again, it's more common to split the answer into ich bin, I am, and then your own name, followed by das ist and the other person's name. For example, Wie heißt du? Ich bin Levi. Wie heißt ihr? Ich bin Levi und das ist Sophia. While most people will use one of the two versions of the question Wie heißt du that I've already shown you, it's grammatically correct to say Wie ist dein Name, which is a more literal translation of what is your name. Wie ist dein Name? This uses the verb sein too, but this time with the third person singular, sie, es form of the verb, which is ist, because mein Name is the subject of the sentence and not ich. Technically speaking, wie also acts as the subject of this sentence because the special nature of sein, which I'll talk about in more depth in a few weeks. Since this version includes a possessive article, you need to be able to change the sentence again based on your audience. Wie ist dein Name? Wie ist dein Name? Is the du version. Wie ist ihr Name? Wie ist ihr Name? Is the sie version. And wie sind eure Namen? Wie sind eure Namen is the ihr version. Keep in mind that the last one is the plural form because it addresses ihr. This is why the verb changes to sind, the possessive article adds an e, eure, and the word Name becomes Namen. The two versions that you need to know to answer this question are mein Name ist, my name is, and ihr Name ist, her name is, or sein Name ist, his name is. Mein Name ist, ihr Name ist, sein Name ist. For example, wie ist dein Name? Mein Name ist Levi. Wie sind eure Namen? Mein Name ist Levi und ihr Name ist Sophia. Or, sein Name ist Fred. While it is possible to ask the question wer bist du or wer seid ihr or even wer sind Sie, literally who are you, I don't recommend this option. It is very rude. Also, you might not get the answer that you desired. It comes off as if you were saying, who do you think you are? Or what are you doing here? In short, stick to wie heißen Sie or wie ist Ihr Name. Don't forget, until you get to know some people, you should be using the Sie form with most people. If you're going to be using the du form with somebody, you probably don't need to ask for their name. The second question you need to be able to answer is wie geht es Ihnen? Wie geht es Ihnen? How are you? This is the formal version. For the du version, you would say wie geht es dir? Wie geht es dir? Often it's shortened just to wie geht's? Wie geht's? Wie geht's? And the ear version would be wie geht es euch? Wie geht es euch? You could simply answer with gut, good, gut. And you can follow it up with danke to make it more polite. Gut, danke. Gut, danke. Gut, danke. You can answer this question with one or two words like gut or schlecht, schlecht, which means bad, or nicht schlecht, nicht schlecht, not bad. You can also quantify how well you are doing by using an adverb in front of gut. For example, ganz gut, ganz gut. Ganz gut means quite well. Sehr gut, sehr gut. Sehr gut means very well. Or even nicht gut, nicht gut, nicht gut. Nicht gut means not good. Obviously, you can also substitute schlecht for any of these examples where I used gut. If you were going to answer with a full sentence, you need to start your answer with mir geht es. Mir geht es. For example, mir geht es gut. Mir geht es gut. Mir geht es gut. I'm doing well. Mir geht es schlecht. Mir geht es schlecht. Mir geht es schlecht. I'm doing poorly. Mir geht es nicht schlecht. Mir geht es nicht schlecht. Mir geht es nicht schlecht. Mir geht es prima. Mir geht es prima. Mir geht es prima. I'm doing great. Mir geht es super. Mir geht es super. I'm doing super. If you want a version of these sentences that tell how more than one person is doing, you would replace mir with uns. For instance, uns geht es gut. Uns geht es gut. It's going well for us. As I mentioned before, the question wie geht es dir is often shorted to just wie geht's. When answering, you can also shorten this to mir geht's. Mir geht's. The shortening of these sentences should not be done when using the Sie version, and you should be very cautious when using them in any form, as they may give the impression that you're more fluent than you really are. You might have noticed that none of these questions used du, ihr, or sie, and none of the answers used ich. That's because technically speaking, the question is, how is it going? And for each of these answers, you would translate it as, it's going well, or poorly, or great, for me. You wouldn't answer ich bin for this question most of the time, as ich bin gut and ich bin schlecht means I am good, as in not evil, and I am bad, as in not good. Most people would understand what you meant to say, but it's technically not correct. You can answer the question wie geht es dir or wie geht es Ihnen with ich bin if you use a different adjective instead of gut or schlecht. For instance, ich bin müde. Ich bin müde. Ich bin müde. I am tired. Ich bin krank. Ich bin krank. Ich bin krank. I am sick. If you want to answer with wir, we, you would say wir sind instead of ich bin. You can also make a play on words and say es geht, which literally just means it goes, but in English it's more like the expression so-so or alright. Es geht. Es geht. In order to ask the other person how they are in response to the question wie geht es Ihnen or wie geht es dir, you would say und Ihnen for the Sie form and und dir for the du version. For example, Guten Tag, wie geht es Ihnen? Mir geht es gut. Und Ihnen? Mir geht es auch gut. Hallo, wie geht's? Ganz gut. Und dir? Nicht schlecht. As a visitor to Germany, you might get the question, woher kommen Sie? Where are you from? Woher kommen Sie? Woher kommen Sie? The du version is woher kommst du? And the ihr version would be woher kommt ihr? Woher kommt ihr? The answer is ich komme aus, ich komme aus, ich komme aus, or wir kommen aus, wir kommen aus, followed by your place of origin. For example, woher kommst du? Ich komme aus Amerika. Woher kommen Sie? Ich komme aus Illinois. Woher kommt ihr? Wir kommen aus Edwardsville. Now you just have to find the German translation of your country's name. You could just say the name of the city, but be prepared for the follow-up question, wo ist das? Wo ist das? Where is that? If it isn't famous enough, like New York. The answer could be as simple as in Amerika or in Illinois. You could also say in der Nähe von, which is nearby or near something else, in der Nähe von, in der Nähe von, and then a nearby place that might be well known enough that they would get an idea of where you live. For example, woher kommst du? Ich komme aus Edwardsville. Und wo ist das denn? Edwardsville ist in der Nähe von St. Louis. Und wo liegt das? St. Louis ist in der Mitte der USA. The next question they might ask you is, wie lange bleiben Sie in Deutschland? Wie lange bleiben Sie in Deutschland? Wie lange bleiben Sie in Deutschland? How long are you staying in Germany? The other options would be, wie lange bleibst du in Deutschland? Wie lange bleibst du in Deutschland? Or, wie lange bleibt ihr in Deutschland? Wie lange bleibt ihr in Deutschland? Wie lange bleibt ihr in Deutschland? The answer doesn't have to be overly specific. You could just say ein paar, and then the appropriate amount of time. For example, ein paar Tage, a few days. Ein paar Wochen, a few weeks. Ein paar Monate, a few months. Ein paar Tage. Ein paar Wochen. Ein paar Monate. If you know your numbers in German already, you could say the actual number of days or weeks you are staying. 3 Tage. 3 Tage. 2 Wochen. 2 Wochen. Einen Monat. Einen Monat. If you want to answer this question with a full sentence, you would say ich bleibe, or wir bleiben, followed by the amount of time that you're staying. Ich bleibe 6 Tage. Ich bleibe 6 Tage. Wir bleiben 4 Wochen. Wir bleiben 4 Wochen. Ich bleibe 5 Monate. Ich bleibe 5 Monate. The last question or series of questions on my list for today isn't really a continuation of the conversation example I've shown you so far, but is an important enough question that I think you need to be able to answer it as one of the first questions you ever learn. There are a few variations of this question as well, but you would almost exclusively hear them in the Z form, so I'll only show you those options for these sentences. The question, wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? Wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? Wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? How can I help you? This is the question that you'll be asked when you go to a German store and you're looking around. You can answer with a ton of different options, but the simple ones are the following. Ich schaue mich nur um. Ich schaue mich nur um. Ich möchte mich nur umschauen. Ich möchte mich nur umschauen. Ich brauche Schuhe. Ich brauche Schuhe. Ich möchte einen Döner. Ich möchte einen Döner. If you look like you're looking for something but you can't find it, they might ask you, was suchen Sie? Was suchen Sie? Was suchen Sie? Ich suche. Ich suche. Ich suche ein Buch. Ich suche ein Buch. Ich suche DVDs. Ich suche DVDs. A more generalized question you might hear would be, Was möchten Sie? Was möchten Sie? What would you like? It might be ended with another verb like bestellen, bestellen, to order, or kaufen, kaufen, to buy, or haben, haben, to have. But the general question is the same and the answer is the same no matter what. Ich möchte den Rinderbraten. Ich möchte den Rinderbraten. Ich möchte das. Ich möchte das. Ich möchte diese. Ich möchte diese. Before we can get into the formation of questions, we need to first take a step back and look at the formation of statements, so you understand what's going on when we switch to a question. Statements generally start with the subject of the sentence, the person or thing that is doing something in the sentence. The next thing is the verb, which is changed to match the correct form for the subject. After that, we have a variety of different things, but to keep things simple for today's lesson, we are going to refer to these things as other stuff. So, general word order for a statement in German is subject, verb, other stuff. For example, Ich bin Levi. I am Levi. Ich is your subject, bin is your verb, and Levi is your other stuff. Der Mann geht nach Hause. The man is going home. Der Mann is the subject, geht is your verb, and nach Hause is your other stuff. Wir kaufen die Bahnkarten. We are buying the train tickets. Wir are your subject, kaufen is the verb, and die Bahnkarten are the other stuff. In order to make a simple question out of a statement, we simply move the verb to the other side of the subject. In other words, verb first, then subject, and then your other stuff still at the end. Let's move back to the example of Der Mann geht nach Hause. To make a question out of this, we move the verb geht to the first position. Now our sentence is, Geht der Mann nach Hause? Is the man going home? Geht is your verb, der Mann is still your subject, and nach Hause is still your other stuff. They just switched the word order on the first two things. Let's try that again. Die Kinder spielen Fußball. The children are playing soccer. Spielen die Kinder Fußball? Are the children playing soccer? Spielen is now at the beginning of the sentence, showing you our verb first. Notice that just like in English, my voice changes a bit at the end of the last word of the question. If you do the same thing with your voice when reading a statement, you can sort of ask a question, but the connotation changes. Notice the difference between Die Kinder spielen Fußball, the children are playing soccer, and Spielen die Kinder Fußball, are the children playing soccer? The first one indicates a disbelief. The children are usually playing basketball, but now they're playing soccer? That's weird. Die Kinder spielen Fußball? But if you're just asking a question of whether or not the children are playing soccer, you would need the normal question word order of Spielen die Kinder Fußball? Are the children playing soccer? Sometimes your subject should not be the same in your question as it is in your answer. For example, if I'm the one responding in the answer to the question probably used the pronoun you. For example, Wohnst du hier? Do you live here? Ja, ich wohne hier. Yes, I live here. Bleiben Sie lange? Are you staying long? Nein, ich bleibe nur 2 Tage. No, I am only staying 2 days. I only bring this up because it isn't always obvious that this needs to change when you are first learning German. It feels obvious once you learn it, but before that it seems kind of confusing. It's a good reminder that the subject and verb must always agree, which is why our verb changes between the question and the response. The questions I've shown you so far are a bit boring, however, as we don't yet have question words. Question words are technically called interrogative pronouns. The reason I mention this is because pronouns replace things in sentences. The subject pronouns that I talked about in Lesson 8, for example, replace nouns that are the subject of the sentence. When you use a question word in a question, you are indicating that there is a lack of knowledge on a part of the sentence. The answer to the question no longer has the question word in it, as the question word has been replaced with the formerly missing information. Think of the question words as placeholders for more substantive information. The first question word you need to learn is was, which means what and is mostly used like it is in English. For example, Was kaufst du? What are you buying? Ich kaufe ein Sofa. I am buying a sofa. Was ist das? What is that? Das ist ein Döner. That's a Döner Kebab. Was denkst du darüber? What do you think about that? Was can either be the subject of the sentence, as it was in the question Was ist das? Or it can be the object, like it was in the question Was kaufst du? Du is the one buying something in that sentence. The something being bought was the object was. I mention this because if the question word was is the subject of the sentence, the conjugation of the verb is usually the third person singular, er, sie, es form of the verb. For instance, Was steht in der Ecke? What is standing in the corner? The conjugation of the verb can be in the third person plural, sie form, if you know that was refers to more than one thing. For example, Was sind diese Dinge? What are these things? It's important to note that technically Dinge are the subject of the sentence along with was due to the special nature of the verb sein, which again I'll talk about in a few weeks. Next up we have the question word wo, which means where in English. This is great for asking where things are, which is pretty important when you're first visiting Germany. Keep in mind that in contrast to was, the question word wo can never be the subject of the sentence with the exception of sein, which means you are not restricted to the third person singular, er, sie, es, or plural, sie forms of the verbs. Here are a few examples of how you can use the question word wo. Wo finde ich die Toilette? Where do I find the toilet? Wo lebst du jetzt? Where do you live now? Wo beginnt das Rennen? Where does the race start? Wo ist deine Mutter? Where is your mother? Wo warten wir auf den Bus? Where are we waiting on the bus? Wo lernt ihr Deutsch? Where are you learning German? Wo gehören diese Bücher? Where do these books belong? The next question word you need to know is wer, which means who in English. The official rules for wer and who are supposed to be the same, but English speakers don't really seem to care anymore what the difference between who and whom is, which leads to some problems when trying to ask questions in German. Short version, who is always the subject of the sentence, but whom is not. That's all that really matters for now. Wer is always the subject of the sentence. We use it to ask about a person who is doing the action of the sentence. It's also used exclusively to inquire about people or, in rare cases, personified animals. Wer and wo are often difficult for English speakers to grasp because wo looks like who but means where, and wer looks like where but means who. The way I remember it is that you can answer the question wer with er, which is simply the question word without the W at the beginning. This is also good for reminding you that the conjugation of the verb when this question word is used is the same as the third person singular er, sie, es form. Here are a few examples of how you can use this question word. I also answered these questions to show you that you can replace wer with er to answer the question. Wer nennt eine Möhre eine Karotte? Who calls a carrot a carrot? Because in German there are multiple words for carrot. Er nennt eine Möhre eine Karotte. He calls a carrot a carrot. Wer zeigt uns das WC? Who is showing us the restroom? Er zeigt uns das WC. He is showing us the restroom. Wer führt die Ponys auf dem Weg? Who is leading the ponies on the path? Er führt die Ponys auf dem Weg. He is leading the ponies on the path. Again, the conjugation of the verb is in the third person singular, er, sie, es form when you use wer as the subject. This applies even if you know that the answer to the question is plural. For example, wer ist schon da? Who is already there? Sie sind schon da. They are already there. Wer wohnt in diesem Haus? Who lives in this house? Wir wohnen in diesem Haus. We live in this house. The next question we need to learn is wann, which means when in English. It's used to inquire about the time of some event or action. Again, since the question word is not the subject of the sentence, when can't do something, the conjugation of the verb is not dependent upon this question word. The subject of the sentence will be directly after the verb, and the conjugation of the verb will match that subject. Wann bringst du das Buch zurück? When are you bringing the book back? Wann lernen wir über das Passiv? When are we learning about the passive? Wann braucht eine Antwort? When does he need an answer? Wann beginnt der Film? When does the film start? Wann bekommen die Müllers ihr Auto zurück? When are the Müllers getting their car back? You've already seen our next question word in a few simple questions from the last video. Wie means how. This question word is also never the subject of the sentence. Here are some examples of how to use wie. Wie heißen Sie? How are you called? Wie geht es Ihnen? How are you? Wie meinst du das? How do you mean that? Wie schläft dein Hund? How does your dog sleep? Wie erreichen wir unsere Ziele? How do we reach our goals? Wie is a much more versatile question word than the other ones we've seen so far, as you can add adjectives after it to inquire about the degree of something. You can do the same in English, which you can see in these examples. Wie groß bist du? How tall are you? Wie alt bist du? How old are you? Wie sauer ist dieses Bonbon? How sour is this candy? Wie lange bleibst du in Deutschland? How long are you staying in Germany? The last question word on my list for today is warum, which is German for why. This one isn't different from English either, so I'll just jump right into the examples. Warum fragt das? Why is he asking that? Warum verstehst du mich nicht? Why don't you understand me? Warum erzählen Kinder solche Geschichten? Why do children tell stories like that? Warum versuchen Sie das nicht morgen? Why don't you try that tomorrow? And now, as promised, I'll explain why I think the subject and the verb are in a romantic relationship with each other. They have to be dating. The subject is almost always next to the verb. It is definitely the dominant personality in the relationship, as it usually is first in the sentence. If the subject isn't first, it is directly after the verb. This happens, like we saw earlier in this video, with questions. In a statement, the subject is first, followed by the verb. In a question, the verb is first and then the subject. If we have a question word, the question word is first, then our verb, then our subject. Again, they're right next to each other. Sometimes the question word is the subject, which again puts the subject at the first position, followed by the verb. They're always right next to each other. You can separate the subject and verb in complicated situations. For instance, they're in a long-distance relationship when that happens. At the beginner level, however, you don't need to worry about this. But suffice it to say, you can separate this clingy couple in more complicated situations, or sentences. Since my students don't learn about this until their junior year, I usually tell them that you can't separate the clingy couple until their junior year, which is usually when they break up anyway. The subject and verb take their relationship to the creepy level of wearing matching clothes. The verb changes to match the subject, as the subject is the dominant personality in the relationship, so it gets to choose the outfits that they wear. If the subject wears the du pronoun, for example, the verb wears its st outfit. If you want more fantastic content like this video, consider subscribing so you know when I have something new for you.
Das ist Hans. Hans ist groß, stark und sportlich. Ich bin auch braunhaarig, modisch und attraktiv. Du bist nicht hübsch, aber du bist auch nicht hässlich. Du bist mittelmäßig. Ich bin auch gut angezogen und schick. Das ist Mia. Sie ist klein und fit. Sie ist auch sehr kräftig. Ich finde sie niedlich. Ich bin erwachsen. Ich bin nicht niedlich. Süß bin ich vielleicht, aber ich denke, ich bin eher schön. Ich bin auch schlank, elegant und blondhaarig. Du bist zu alt, um niedlich zu sein, aber zu jung, um schön zu sein. Ich spreche leiser. Ich bin ruhig. Ich spreche laut. Ich bin dick und rothaarig. Ich bin fett. Ich bin dünn und schwarzhaarig. Ich bin schwach. 1. Ich bin feige. Ich bin gesund. Ich bin krank. Das ist Elias. Er ist brav, ehrlich und anständig. Er macht immer das, was seine Eltern sagen. Er ist immer begeistert. Mit seinen Freunden ist er freundlich und nett. Er ist nie eifersüchtig. Er ist auch warmherzig und fröhlich. Manchmal ist er auch traurig. Das ist Leon. Er ist boshaft. Er ist arrogant, egoistisch, eingebildet, egozentrisch, eitel, stolz, hochmütig, gemein, grob, unfreundlich, taktlos. Halt, stopp! Jetzt rede ich. Ich bin nicht arrogant, ich bin einfach besser als andere Leute. Ich bin nicht gemein, ich sage die Wahrheit und manche Leute mögen das nicht. Ich bin nicht taktlos. Okay, vielleicht bin ich doch taktlos, aber diese anderen Sachen bin ich nicht. Ich bin ernst. Ich bin emotional. Ich bin froh, glücklich und gut gelaunt. Ich bin verdrießlich und schlecht gelaunt. Ich bin dankbar, dass ich gesund bin. Das ist Krankenpfleger Antrim. Er ist bescheiden und mitfühlend. Er ist auch selbstbewusst und selbstsicher. Wenn du krank bist, kann er dir helfen. Das ist Prinz Levi. Er ist bezaubernd, charmant und aufgeklärt. Bonjour, ma chérie, je t'aime. Das ist Herr Professor Dr. Antrim. Er ist einmalig, begabt, erfolgreich, berühmt, geschickt und reich. Ich bin Fred. Ich bin seltsam, unbeholfen, unkreativ, unbekannt, erfolglos und arm. Ich bin auf Herrn Professor Dr. Antrim eifersüchtig. Alles wird gut. Er ist optimistisch. Stell dir vor, es gibt kein Himmelreich. Es ist einfach, wenn du es versuchst. Kein Hölle unter uns. Da oben ist nur Himmel. Stell dir vor, all die Menschen leben nur für heute. Er ist idealistisch. Manche Sachen sind gut, manche Sachen sind schlecht. Das ist ein Stein und das ist ein Stein. Er ist realistisch. Es wird nie besser. Alles ist Quatsch. Es gibt keinen Grund zum Feiern. Er ist pessimistisch. Politiker können die Welt verbessern und all unsere Probleme lösen. Er ist naiv. Das ist Xander Cage. Er ist mutig, aktiv und abenteuerlustig. Ich bin Sam. Ich bin hilfreich und höflich. Wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? Ich bin Dawn. Ich bin frech und unhöflich. Ich hasse euch alle. Wir suchen nur den besten Bewerber. Ich würde ihn so beschreiben. Er ist ehrgeizig, fleißig und organisiert. Natürlich ist er auch pünktlich und verlässig. Er ist auch geduldig und, wenn möglich, gebildet. Das ist Herr Steiner. Er ist sehr intelligent. Anders gesagt ist er klug, schlau und gut informiert. Das ist Tim. Er ist blöd. Anders gesagt ist er doof, kindisch, dumm und ahnungslos. Mein Traummann ist reif, romantisch, vertrauenswürdig, spontan, glaubwürdig und rücksichtsvoll. Ein Vorteil ist es, wenn er auch humorvoll ist. Humorvoll heißt mit anderen Worten lustig oder witzig.
Sein, to be. Ich bin. Du bist. Er ist. Sie ist. Es ist. Wir sind. Ihr seid. Sie sind. Sie sind. You can use sein with an adjective to describe people and things. Ich bin hübsch. I am handsome. Du bist klug. You are smart. Er ist stark. He is strong. Wir sind fleißig. We are hardworking. Ihr seid faul. You are lazy. Sie sind rothaarig. They are red-headed. Simply add the nationality of the person or persons in the sentence to describe them that way. Just don't use an article like ein or eine. You don't need that in these sentences. Ich bin Amerikaner. I am an American. Du bist Deutscher. You are a German. Sie ist Schweizerin. She is Swiss. Wir sind Österreicher. We are Austrians. Ihr seid Franzosen. You are French. Sie sind Spanier. They are Spaniards. Ich bin amerikanisch. I am American. Nein!
Das sagt man nicht so. Sag lieber, ich bin Amerikaner. Du bist nicht amerikanisch, dein Akzent ist amerikanisch, dein Auto ist amerikanisch, aber du bist Amerikaner. You can do the same thing with occupations. Again, no articles like ein or eine. Ich bin Lehrer. I am a teacher. Bist du Anwaltin? Are you a lawyer? Ist Schauspieler. He is an actor. Wir sind Verkäufer. We are salespeople. Seid ihr Krankenpfleger? Are you nurses? Meine Brüder sind Mechaniker. My brothers are mechanics. If you're identifying an object, you do need an article. If you want to say the, use der, die, or das, based on the gender of the noun. If you want to say a or an, and the noun is masculine or neuter, use ein. If it's feminine, use eine. If it's plural, you often don't need an article, but if you do need one or want one, you could say the using die. Ich bin ein Mann. I am a man. Du bist eine Frau. You are a woman. Das ist ein Pferd. That is a horse. Der Mann ist der Verbrecher. The man is the criminal. Die Frau ist die Mutter. The woman is the mother. Wir sind das Volk. We are the people. Ihr seid Kinder. You are all children. Das sind die Stühle. These are the chairs. Your fun fact of the day, sein is one of two verbs in the German language that can have two subjects. For instance, in all of the examples in the sentences that I just gave. Ich bin ein Mann, both the man and I are the subject of that sentence. Hey, ich bin du bist, and sie es ist. Wir sind ihr seid, sie sind. Hey, ich bin du bist, and sie es ist. Wir sind ihr seid, sie sind. Ich bin du bist, sie es ist. Wir sind ihr seid, sie sind. Ich bin du bist, sie es ist. Wir sind ihr seid, sie sind.
Ich habe. Du hast. Er hat. Sie hat. Es hat. Wir haben. Ihr habt. Sie haben. Sie haben. The verb haben always requires an object. The articles are the same as normal for feminine, neuter, and plural nouns as objects. Ich habe eine Tante. I have an aunt. Hast du eine Tochter? Do you have a daughter? Meine Mutter hat eine Schwester. My mother has a sister. Wir haben Eltern. We have parents. Habt ihr ein Kind? Do you have a child? Meine Großeltern haben Zwillinge. My grandparents have twins. If the object is a masculine noun, you need den for the and einen for a or an. Ich habe einen Vater. I have a father. Hast du einen Sohn? Do you have a son? Mein Bruder hat einen Bruder. Ich bin sein Bruder. My brother has a brother. I am his brother. Mein Vater hat Geschwister. Sie sind meine Tanten und Onkel. My father has siblings. They are my aunts and uncles. Wir haben einen Großvater und eine Großmutter. We have a grandfather and a grandmother. Habt ihr einen Neffen? Do you have a nephew? Side note on this one, the word Neffe also requires an N at the end of the noun when it's used as the object of the sentence. Meine Nichten haben einen Bruder. My nieces have a brother. When some parts of your body hurt, you don't need an article because these pains, Schmerzen, are plural. Ich habe Kopfschmerzen. I have a headache. Du hast Bauchschmerzen. You have a stomachache. Hat Halsschmerzen. He has a sore throat. Wir haben Zahnschmerzen. We have a toothache. Add gern to the sentence to change to have into to like. If you like a sport, you don't need an article. Ich habe Fußball gern. I like soccer. Hast du Basketball gern? Do you like basketball? Sie hat Baseball gern. She likes baseball. Wir haben Tennis gern. We like tennis. Habt ihr Golf gern? Do you like golf? Die Kinder haben Handball gern. The children like handball. You can add gern with other verbs to change it from the original verb to liking doing that action. Some people add an e to the end of gern to make it gerne. This does not change the meaning at all. Ich spiele gern Schach. I like to play chess. Tanzt du gern? Do you like to dance? Meine Schwester schaukelt gern. My sister likes to swing. Wir essen gern. We like to eat. Arbeitet ihr gern? Do you like to work? Meine Großeltern erzählen gerne Geschichten. My grandparents like to tell stories. Ich habe, du hast, hat, sie hat, es hat. Wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben, sie haben. Ich habe, du hast, hat, sie hat, es hat. Wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben, sie haben.
Das ist Bob. Bob ist 35 Jahre alt. Er hatte eine Ehefrau, Steffi. 2017 war Bob noch ledig. Dann hat er Steffi getroffen. Zuerst war sie seine Freundin und er ihr Freund. Dann wurde sie seine Verlobte und er ihr Verlobter, da sie sich verlobt hatten. Ihre Hochzeit wurde 2012 gefeiert. Dann wurde Bob der Ehemann und Steffi die Ehefrau. Ehemann oder Ehefrau kann man auch Ehepartner nennen. Sie haben 3 Kinder, Jan, Sophie und Luca. Das sind Bob und Steffis Nachwuchs. Jan ist der ältere Sohn und Luca der jüngere. Sophie ist die Tochter. Sophie ist die Schwester von Jan und Luca. Luca ist der Bruder von Sophie und Jan. Sie sind Geschwister. Ihre Eltern sind Bob, der Vater, und Steffi, die Mutter. Die Kinder nennen Bob entweder Papa oder Vati und Steffi entweder Mama oder Mutti. 2016 haben sich Bob und Steffi schieden lassen. 2017 hat Bob eine neue Frau, Katrin, geheiratet und Steffi einen neuen Mann, Christian. Bobs neue Frau ist die Stiefmutter von Jan, Sophie und Luca. Steffis neuer Mann ist der Stiefvater von den Kindern. Katrin war eine Witwe. Ihr Ehemann ist vor ein paar Jahren gestorben. Wenn die Ehefrau von einem Mann stirbt, nennt man diesen Mann einen Witwer. Christian hatte schon 2 Kinder, als er Steffi geheiratet hat. Anna ist die Stiefschwester und Leon ist der Stiefbruder von Jan, Sophie und Luca. Christians Kinder sind die Stiefkinder von Steffi. Anna ist die Stieftochter und Leon der Stiefsohn. Bob und Katrin haben einen Sohn und eine Tochter zusammen. Laura ist die Halbschwester von Jan, Sophie und Luca und Janek der Halbbruder. Laura und Janek sind Zwillinge. Sie sind nicht eineiige Zwillinge, sie sind zweieiige Zwillinge. Das bedeutet, sie sehen nicht gleich aus. Bobs Eltern sind die Großeltern von Jan, Sophie und Luca. Ihr Großvater und ihre Großmutter haben 2 Söhne, Bob und Daniel, und eine Tochter, Nadine. Daniel ist der Onkel von den Kindern. Daniels Ehefrau Melanie und Bob und Daniels Schwester Nadine sind die Tanten von Jan, Sophie und Luca. Die Kinder von Daniel und Melanie sind die Vettern von Jan, Sophie und Luca. Julia ist die Cousine und Dennis der Cousin. Jan und Luca sind die Neffen von Daniel und Melanie. Sophie ist ihre Nichte. Daniel ist der Schwager von Katrin. Nadine ist Katrins Schwägerin. Klaus ist ihr Schwiegervater und Birgit die Schwiegermutter. Katrin ist die Schwiegertochter von Klaus und Birgit. Bob ist der Schwiegersohn von Katrins Eltern. Die Kinder von Bob nennen Klaus Opa und Birgit Oma. Die Geschwister von Birgit sind der Großonkel und die Großtante von Bobs Kindern. Die Eltern von Birgit sind die Urgroßeltern von Bobs Kindern. Dieter, der Urgroßvater, und Elke, die Urgroßmutter. Jan und Luca sind die Enkel von Klaus und Birgit und Sophie die Enkelin. Für Dieter und Elke sind sie die Großenkel und Großenkelin. Mit all diesen Informationen könnt ihr jetzt Bobs Stammbaum zeichnen. Wenn es so aussieht, habt ihr alles richtig verstanden.
1. Ich bin 1. Ich bin 1 Jahr alt. 2. Ich habe 2 Kinder. 3. Das sind 3 Katzen. 4. Ich esse jeden Tag 4 Äpfel. 5. Das sind 5 Beeren. 6. Er hat 6 Karten. 7. Wir sind auf Wolke 7. 8. Es ist 8 Uhr. 9. Die Katze hat 9 Leben. 10. Ich kann auf Deutsch bis 10 zählen. 11. Es gibt 11 Elfen in dem Baum. 12. Der Wolf pustet 12 Mal, aber das Haus bleibt stehen. The numbers after 12 follow a pattern. Up to and including 19, the numbers end with 10, and they start with the same word as the numbers from 3, to 9. Just be careful with 16 and 17, as they drop a letter or two to form the new number. 13. 13 ist eine Unglückszahl. 14. 14 Kinder sind zu viel. 15. Meine Schwester ist 15 Jahre alt. 16. Ab 16 kann man in den USA fahren. 17. 17 ist eine Zeitschrift in den USA. 18. Ab 18 kann man in Deutschland ohne Eltern fahren. 19. Die Duggars haben 19 Kinder. After 19, we have a similar pattern. All of the numbers up to and including 99 follow the pattern of ones place plus und plus the tens place. Obviously, if there is a 0 in the ones place, you don't bother saying it out loud. If the number 1, or 1, is in the ones place, you don't say the S at the end of the word. Instead of saying 1, you say ein. And here are the numbers from 21 to 29 as an example. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Once you've mastered this pattern of number creation, you simply have to learn the words for the tens places. I'll count by tens to show you what they are. Things to note about these numbers: 30 is the only one spelled with an S set instead of a Z. Both 6 and 7 are shortened again as they did with the teens to become 60 and 70. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Once you get to 99 in German, you get to 100, which you can also just say as 100. Then you have to put the number after the 100 behind the word 100. If you have more than 100, you put the number of hundreds in front of the word 100. 101, 243, 887. Just like in English, you can use 11 through the teens to express numbers over 1,000, but anything beyond the teens has to be expressed with the word 1,000. 1122, 1999, 2019. To tell time in German, you simply put the word Uhr between the hours and the minutes. To say it as a full sentence, you can add es ist in front of the time. Keep in mind that 1 o'clock is 1 Uhr and not 1 Uhr. Also, eine Uhr would be a clock, which is clearly not what you meant. Es ist 8:15 Uhr. Es ist 6:36 Uhr. Es ist 2 Uhr. Es ist 5:55 Uhr. Use nach to say that the time is a number of minutes after the hour. You can include the word Minuten in your sentence if you like, but it's not necessary. You can also leave out the Uhr when you form a sentence like this. If you leave out the word Uhr with 1 Uhr, it becomes eins instead. Es ist 3 Minuten nach 4. Es ist 11 Minuten nach 1 Uhr. Es ist 11 Minuten nach 1. Es ist 24 nach 3. Use vor to say that the time is a number of minutes before the hour. The same rules as before with regards to Minuten and Uhr still apply. Es ist 5:06. Es ist 10 Minuten vor 2. Es ist 13 Minuten vor 7. What you may not have realized about those examples that I just gave is that every single one of them is in the morning. That's because Germans use the 24-hour clock. In order to say a time that is after 12 Uhr, or 12 o'clock, you simply count up to the next hour, 13 Uhr, 14 Uhr, etc. If you have trouble with this, take any number that is over 12 and subtract 12 from it in order to get the hours in the 12-hour system. It is common to use the 12-hour system in conversational German, as you can tell based on the context if you mean morning or afternoon. But any written or official time telling will be done in the 24-hour system, because there is no obligatory AM or PM equivalent like we have in English. Es ist 14:30 Uhr. Es ist 10 vor 17 Uhr. Es ist 23:12 Uhr. In order to read simple math questions in German, you'll need some extra vocabulary. You say plus to add things together. You can use ist or macht where the equal sign goes. 10 plus 21 macht 31. 24 plus 35 ist 59. To subtract, use minus. 99 minus 44 macht 55. 46 minus 12 ist 34. To multiply, use mal. 9 mal 9 ist 81. 8 mal 8 ist 64. To divide, use geteilt durch. 72 geteilt durch 9 macht 8. 55 geteilt durch 5 ist 11. Your fantastic fact of the day is about the Nummer 1. You may have noticed that I mentioned that there is a difference between 1 Uhr, 1 o'clock, and eine Uhr, a clock. That's because the word ein and all of its other forms, eine and einen for example, all stem from the German word for one, which is eins. This means that you can use it like I did in my first example sentence, Ich bin 1 Jahr alt, and translate it as I am 1 year old or I am a year old, as the word ein can also mean a or an in that sentence. This is true of all of the other times when you use ein in a sentence. For example, Ich habe einen Hund can be translated as I have a dog or I have one dog. Now for the mind-blowing part. All of that is true because eins is being used as a pronoun. It replaces something in every sentence in which it is ever used. It doesn't have any of the other endings like eine or einen because it's being used as kind of a generic pronoun that doesn't necessarily point to a particular noun, so it uses the neuter form eins. For example, ist das ein Blatt Papier? Ja, das ist eins. If the noun that is being replaced is known, you do need to change ein to fit the gender of the noun being replaced and the case in which the pronoun is being used. For example, Hilfe! Ich brauche einen Arzt. Ist einer. Since this video is designed for A1 learners, I'll just point out that if you're going to use ein in this manner, you should probably wait until you've learned a bit more German. Let's start with the time-telling things that I left out of the last video. In German, you don't always have to give the precise minutes and hours of the day. You can split the hours into quarters and halves like you do in English. Unlike in English, however, the German phrase halb vier doesn't translate as half past 4, but instead half until 4. This is a bit disorienting at first, but it's quite simple once you understand it. Here are a few examples to get you acclimated to this idea. Halb sechs, 5:30, or half of 6. Halb eins, 12:30, or half of 1. Halb zehn, half of 10, or 9:30. A strange version of this would be to include vor or nach and a number of minutes, usually 5 or 10. This requires you to do a quick math problem in your head if you're an English native speaker. 5 vor halb sieben, for example, would translate as 5 till half of 7. Halb sieben is 6:30, so 5 Minuten before that would be 6:25 Uhr. So 5 vor halb sieben is actually 6:25. Here are a few more examples of this complicated mess. 5 vor halb neun, 8:25. 5 nach halb vier, 3:35. 10 vor halb elf, 10:20. In English, you can use quarter hours to say that it's 15 minutes before or after the hour. Simply use vor or nach like we did in the examples from last week and the word Viertel, which is the German word for quarter. Viertel vor drei, 2:45. Viertel nach acht, 8:15. Viertel vor zehn, 9:45. Viertel nach fünf, 5:15. There are also two weird ways to use the word Viertel. If you leave out the words vor or nach, you have a similar math question to that which we used with halb. In these examples, the phrase becomes a quarter of the way towards a particular hour. For example, Viertel elf, 10:15, literally a quarter of 11. Viertel neun, 8:15, literally a quarter of 9. You can also use drei Viertel, which is 3/4 of the way to the next hour. This is by far the most confusing time expressions my students encounter. Here are a few examples of that. Drei Viertel vier, 3:45, literally 3/4 of 4. Drei Viertel sieben, 6:45, literally 3/4 of 7. Now that we have all of the time expressions out of the way, you can start classifying the times of the day into parts of the day. I mentioned this in the previous video that there is no obligatory AM or PM in German as there is in English. You can, however, classify the time of the day like this if you want. The words that you need are morgen, morgen, morning, Mittag, Mittag, midday, Nachmittag, Nachmittag, afternoon, Abend, Abend, evening, and Nacht, Nacht, night. The only exception to that is Nacht, which requires you to switch to the phrase in der Nacht. Here are a few examples of how to use these expressions in a sentence. Es ist 10 Uhr am Morgen. It is 10 o'clock in the morning. Es ist 12 Uhr am Mittag. It is 12 o'clock in midday. Es ist 2 Uhr am Nachmittag. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Es ist 6 Uhr am Abend. It is 6 o'clock in the evening. Es ist 10 Uhr in der Nacht. It is 10 o'clock at night. You can use these words without a preposition, that's what am and in are doing in the previous examples, if you use an s. If you use one of these words with an s at the end of it, it no longer is capitalized as it's technically no longer a noun. If you use it with a specific time of the day, the meaning doesn't change from the previous examples. Es ist 10 Uhr morgens. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Es ist 12 Uhr mittags. It is 12 o'clock in the midday. Es ist 2 Uhr nachmittags. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you use these versions without a specific time of the day, it becomes a generalization about that part of the day. These words indicate repeated actions during those times of the day. In both German and English, you can start your sentence with these words. If you do that in German, you need to move the subject to the other side of the verb. I think of it as having the subject and verb attached with a string. They have to be next to each other, so if the first spot is taken by something else, in this case the time element, the subject has to move to the other side. Unlike in English, however, you don't need a comma between the time and the verb. Morgens esse ich Brötchen mit Marmelade. Mornings I eat rolls with jam. Mittags fahre ich zur Uni. Middays I drive to the university. Nachmittags schlafe ich. Afternoons I sleep. Abends lese ich. Evenings I read. Nachts spiele ich Fortnite. Nights I play Fortnite. You can use both of these options with the days of the week too. You can use am to indicate a specific Monday or Tuesday or other day of the week, or you can use the days with an s at the end so that it indicates a reoccurring action. The same capitalization rules apply as before. If there's an s at the end of the word, it's not capitalized. Montags arbeite ich nicht gern. Mondays I don't like to work. Am Dienstag schreibt einen Brief. On Tuesday, he is writing a letter. Was machst du am Mittwoch? What are you doing on Wednesday? Wir suchen donnerstags neue Bücher. We are looking Thursdays for new books. Am Freitag rede ich mit meinem Chef. On Friday, I am talking with my boss. Das Restaurant bietet sonnabends Rinderbraten an. The restaurant offers roast beef on Saturdays. Ich besuche am Sonntag eine Kirche. I am attending a church on Sunday. If you didn't pick up on it in the previous sentences, when you use the time element behind the verb, it usually precedes the direct object. To show you more of these examples, I'll introduce you to some other time words that I haven't used yet. Ich esse heute Pizza. I am eating pizza today. Ich esse morgen eine Bratwurst. I am eating a bratwurst tomorrow. Wir sehen heute Abend einen Film. We are watching a film tonight. Bringst du morgen früh Kaffee? Are you bringing coffee tomorrow? Meine Kinder spielen diese Woche Fußball. My children are playing soccer this week. Meine Familie reist nächsten Monat nach Chicago. My family is traveling to Chicago next month. Mein Bruder trinkt jeden Tag 2 Liter Wasser. My brother drinks 2 liters of water every day. I think we've had enough example sentences for today, so your assignment is to take 3 of the words and phrases which I'm about to introduce you to and write 3 example sentences using them. I'll correct your sentences in the comments. In einer Woche. In a week. In einer Stunde. In an hour. In einem Jahr. In a year. In den Ferien. On vacation or during the break. Im Sommer. In the summer. Dieses Jahr. This year. Jede Woche. Every week. Am Wochenende. On the weekend. Übermorgen. The day after tomorrow. The first step in this process is learning about ordinal numbers. Ordinal numbers are things like first, second, third, and so on. These are obviously not exclusive to dates, so I'll start with how to form them outside of their association with dates. For the most part, ordinal numbers are the same as the normal numbers, called cardinal numbers, but you add te or ste to the end of the number. Technically speaking, the t or st transforms the cardinal number, normal counting number, into an ordinal number, a number that defines the order of things or events. and then you add an E to the end as an adjective ending that has to match the case and gender. But since you're beginners, I'm going to show you how to use these in specific circumstances and avoid the real adjective ending lesson for now. There are a few exceptions to the add T or ST and then an E rule, so I'll show you the list up to 13 for a start. Erste, first. Zweite, second. Dritte, third. Vierte, fourth. Fünfte, fifth. Sechste, sixth. Siebte, seventh. Achte, eighth. Neunte, ninth. Zehnte, 10th. Elfte, 11th. Zwölfte, 12th. Dreizehnte, 13th. Since the numbers 13 to 19 all end with 10 in German, you have the same exact ending for each of them. Dreizehnte, 13th. Vierzehnte, 14th. Fünfzehnte, 15th. Sechzehnte, 16th. Siebzehnte, 17th. Achtzehnte, 18th. Neunzehnte, 19th. After 19, the numbers end with 20, and in order to make those into an ordinal number, you need to add STE. Zwanzigste, 20th. Einundzwanzigste, 21st. Zweiundzwanzigste, 22nd. Dreiundzwanzigste, 23rd. Vierundzwanzigste, 24th. Fünfundzwanzigste, 25th. Sechsundzwanzigste, 26th. Siebenundzwanzigste, 27th. Achtundzwanzigste, 28th. Neunundzwanzigste, 29th. Numbers after 29 follow the same pattern by adding STE to the end. This includes not only the two numbers that I'll show you for the purposes of dates, but also for every number up to 100. It should be mentioned that the word for the 100th does not include the pronunciation aiding E like you saw with regular verb conjugation. So the 100th is hundertste. The only two numbers that you need for dates after 29 are as follows. 30ste, 30th. 31ste, 31st. If you want to say the date, you can form your sentence similarly to what you can in English. Keep in mind that the dates are masculine, so everything uses der or a variant thereof. For example, Heute ist der 11. Februar. Today is the 11th of February. Morgen ist der 12. Februar. Tomorrow is the 12th of February. Übermorgen ist der 13. Februar. The day after tomorrow is the 13th of February. Der 4. Juli ist ein Feiertag in den USA. The 4th of July is a holiday in the USA. Der 3. Oktober ist für Deutschland ähnlich. The 3rd of October is similar for Germany. If you want to say on the followed by a date in German, you use the preposition an plus dem, and then the ordinal number with an N at the end. An plus dem are usually shortened to just am. Here are a few examples of that. Ich habe am 15. November Geburtstag. I have my birthday on the 15th of November. Ich feiere meinen Hochzeitstag am 24. Juli. I celebrate my wedding anniversary on the 24th of July. Wir feiern dieses Jahr am 28. November Thanksgiving. We celebrate Thanksgiving on the 28th of November this year. Am 25. Dezember feiern viele Deutschen Weihnachten. On the 25th of December, a lot of Germans celebrate Christmas. When reading specific dates in German, the order is slightly different than the order used in the USA. For those familiar with British English, there is no difference. In America, we usually write the dates with the month, then the day, and finally the year. In British English and in German and pretty much everywhere else in the world except in the US, we write the day first, then the month, and finally the year. This is just another example of the Americans being unique, like when we use feet and inches instead of meters and centimeters. Also, Germans write dates with periods between the day, month, and year, whereas English speakers generally write them with slash marks or hyphens. It is also acceptable in English, however, to write dates with periods between the numbers. Here are some historical dates and how to read them in German and American English. Der 30. Januar 1974. January 30th, 1974. Christian Bales Geburtstag. Christian Bales birthday. Am 30.01.1974 wurde Christian Bale geboren. On the 30th of January, the first month, 1974, Christian Bale was born. Der 3. März 1847. March 3rd, 1847. Alexander Graham Bell's Geburtstag. Alexander Graham Bell's birthday. Am 3.3.1847 wurde Alexander Graham Bell geboren. On the 3rd of March, the third month, 1847, Alexander Graham Bell was born. Der 3. Oktober 1990. October 3rd, 1990. Tag der deutschen Einheit. Day of German Unity. Am 3.10. feiern die Deutschen Tag der deutschen Einheit. On the 3rd of October, the 10th month, Germans celebrate Day of German Unity. In English, when we say something happened in a particular year, we use in before the year. In German, this preposition is not only not necessary, but is actually incorrect to be used. Pay attention to the difference in translation for the following examples. 2010 habe ich meine Frau geheiratet. In 2010, I married my wife. 2012 wurde meine Tochter geboren. In 2012, my daughter was born. 2016 wurde mein Sohn geboren. In 2016, my son was born. Now you have most of the parts that you need in order to read, write, and say dates in German. The only part I left out is the names of the months in German. Here they are. Januar, January. Februar, February. März, March. April, April. Mai, May. Juni, June. Juli, July. August, August. September, September. October, October. November, November. Dezember, December. Let's start with the abbreviation ZAP, Z-A-P. This stands for Zeit, Ort, Platz. We talked about the first one last week. It's time. Generally in a German sentence, the time thing will go before other bits of information. Ort refers to the way that something is done. In English, it's usually translated as manner. This can be a mode of transportation or a means of accomplishing something. This is definitely the most vague part of today's lesson, but it's usually a good assumption that if something is neither Zeit nor Platz, it's probably Ort. Platz refers to the place that a sentence takes place. Some people choose the German word Ort for this descriptor, but that doesn't let you use the cool mnemonic device of ZAP. Zao just doesn't have the same ring to it. In English, we don't have a mnemonic device for this. I simply say Zeit, Ort, Platz. Time, manner, place. Here are a few examples of this in action. Ich kaufe morgen einen Hund mit meinem Taschengeld im Kaufhaus. I am buying a dog tomorrow in the department store with my allowance. Disregarding the fact that I've never seen a department store with a pet department, the breakdown is as follows. Ich is the subject. It's the one doing the action of the sentence. Kaufe is the conjugated form of the verb kaufen, which indicates what is being done, buying. Morgen indicates when it is happening, which falls into the category of Zeit. Einen Hund is the direct object, the accusative object, or the thing receiving the action of the verb. Mit meinem Taschengeld explains how you are paying for the dog, which counts as Ort or manner. Im Kaufhaus indicates where the purchase is taking place, which counts as Platz. Mein Bruder fährt heute mit dem Bus nach München. My brother is driving to Munich today with the bus. My brother is the one driving, which makes him the subject of the sentence, and is first. The verb fährt is in second position. Heute counts as the time in this sentence and is directly after the verb. Mit dem Bus is the manner as it indicates the means of transportation. The last thing in the sentence is nach München, which indicates the place or destination. You obviously don't have to have all of these elements in every single sentence you say. If you leave one or two out, the word order doesn't change. You simply move on to the next phrase that should be in that sentence. Wir lesen 3 Uhr Bücher in der Bibliothek. We are reading books at 3 o'clock in the library. Geht ihr 18 Uhr nach Hause? Are you going home at 6 p.m.? Both of these phrases are leaving out at or manner, but as you can see, we just move on to the next thing in the sentence. What happens when you have more than one time element in a sentence, like today at 3 o'clock? You have to say today and 3 o'clock. How do you know which one goes first? The answer is simple. The order goes from least specific to most specific. For example, Montags diesen Monat 10:30 Uhr lerne ich Deutsch. Mondays this month at 10:30 I am learning German. Mondays happen every month of every year, which means that this is the most broad term in this sentence. This month only happens once, which means that it's more specific than Mondays. At 10:30 is clearly the most specific time in this sentence as it gives the precise time of the day. Heute 3 Uhr gehe ich mit meinen Freunden einkaufen. Today at 3 o'clock I am going shopping with my friends. Today is the larger or broader time here, and 3 Uhr, or at 3 o'clock, is obviously more specific, so it goes next. The future tense in German can be formed with a special verb called werden, which is conjugated weirdly and requires you to use another verb at the end of the sentence, but you can avoid all of this complicated grammar lesson by just using the future tense with a time element that has not happened yet. This is the same thing that's done in English. For example, Ich gehe morgen ins Kino. I am going to the movie theater tomorrow. Wir essen am Wochenende Pizza. We are eating pizza on the weekend. Nächsten Monat kaufe ich ein neues Auto. Next month, I am buying a new car. In the last video, I told you that you can put the time element at the beginning of the sentence and push the subject over to the other side of the verb. Time isn't the only thing that can be moved over like this. Technically, you can start a German sentence with pretty much any of the elements that I've introduced you to today. This even includes the direct object. This is done to show special emphasis on the thing at the beginning of the sentence and should be used sparingly. Warum magst du diesen Mann nicht? Why don't you like this man? Seinen Anzug mag ich nicht. Den Mann kenne ich gar nicht. I don't like his suit. I don't know the man at all. Mein Bruder fährt nach Chicago. My brother is driving to Chicago. Wohin fährt er? To where is he driving? Er fährt nach Chicago. He is driving to Chicago. Wohin? Nach Chicago fährt er. To Chicago is where he is driving. The bottom line is this. No matter what you put at the beginning of a German statement, the verb is in second position. The subject can be on either side of the verb, but in simple sentences, like what beginners are going to write, you need to have the subject and verb next to each other. It's very common to put the time element at the beginning of a statement and move the subject to the other side of the verb. Other things can be put at the beginning of a statement, but special emphasis is put on those words, which sometimes makes the sentence feel a bit contrived.
Jede Woche bekomme ich Prospekte von lokalen Geschäften, wie zum Beispiel der Metzgerei und der Bäckerei. Bevor ich einkaufen gehe, lese ich die Sonderangebote. Dann weiß ich genau, was ich kaufen möchte. Heute gehe ich einkaufen und ich nehme euch mit. Das ist die Metzgerei. Hier kann man Fleisch und Käse kaufen. Ich kaufe heute Wurst, Schinken und Käse. Um etwas zu kaufen, muss man mit dem Metzger sprechen. Ich sage ihm, was ich heute möchte. Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Was darf sein? Ich hätte gern 250 Gramm Schinken. Okay.
Dann noch 250 Gramm Salami. Gerne. Ich hätte auch gerne 4 von diesen Bratwürsten. Sonst noch etwas? Ja, ich hätte dann auch gerne 150 Gramm Gouda, 150 Gramm Emmentaler und 150 Gramm Edamer. Und 150 Gramm davon. Ich weiß zwar nicht, was das ist, aber ich mag Überraschungen. Oh, das ist ein harter Käse. Wenn Sie den nicht kennen, dann müssen Sie sich von dem wirklich überraschen lassen. Das klingt gut. Ich brauche noch ein Pfund Hackfleisch. Darf's noch was sein? Was sind die Sonderangebote für heute? Gibt es heute etwas Besonderes, das ich nicht verpassen sollte? Putenschnitzel kostet heute 1,79 € je 100 Gramm. Pute mag ich nicht besonders. Wie wär's mit Schaschlik? Wir machen sie jeden Tag frisch mit Zwiebeln, Pfeffern und Rindersteak. Ideal zum Grillen. Das klingt gut. Was kostet das Stück? 2,49 €. Ich nehme 4 davon. Dann ist das alles. 24,78 €. 25. Und 22 Cent zurück. Schönen Tag noch. Danke, Ihnen auch. Nebenan ist eine Bäckerei. Ich möchte etwas zum Frühstück und auch ein paar Brötchen kaufen. Jetzt gehen wir rein. Guten Tag, wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? Zuerst hätte ich gerne 2 von diesen Zimtschnecken. Sie sehen sehr lecker aus. Das ist auch mein Lieblingsgebäck. Dann brauche ich noch Brötchen. Und was für Brötchen möchten Sie? 5 normale Brötchen und 4 Kaiserbrötchen. Sonst noch etwas? Was ist das da? Das sind Erdbeersahne-Rollen. Und was kosten die? 2 Stück für 4,50 €. Dann nehme ich 2 Stück davon und ein Laib Holzofenbrot. Darf es sonst noch etwas sein? Das ist alles für heute. 19,45 € bitte. 20 € und 55 Cent zurück. Schönen Tag noch. Danke. Ihnen auch. Jetzt brauchen wir noch Obst und Gemüse. Ich kaufe alles frisch vom Obst- und Gemüsestand. Ich finde, es schmeckt besser als das, was man im Lebensmittelgeschäft oder vom Discounter kaufen kann. Der Stand ist gerade um die Ecke. Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Was kann ich für Sie tun? Woher stammen diese Erdbeeren? Die stammen aus Baden-Württemberg. Es gibt verschiedene Bauernhöfe dort, wovon wir unser Obst bekommen. Die meisten Obstsorten kommen aus Deutschland, aber die Bananen sind aus Südamerika und die Ananasse aus Hawaii. Ich hätte gerne 2 Packungen Erdbeeren, eine Packung Blaubeeren und 5 Bananen. Woher stammen diese riesigen Möhren? Sie kommen auch aus Deutschland. Ich nehme auch ein Bündel davon und einen Kohlkopf. Sonst noch etwas? Nein, das ist alles für heute. Das macht 15,46 €. 15 und 16. Und 54 Cent zurück. Schönen Tag noch. Danke, Ihnen auch. Jetzt habe ich alles, was ich brauche. Ich habe Schinken und Wurst, die ich mit den Brötchen zu Mittag haben kann. Und Schaschlik, das ich heute Abend grille. Das Brot ist für Butterbrot. Die Zimtschnecken esse ich gerne zum Frühstück. Ab und zu esse ich auch gerne Obst. Deshalb habe ich Erdbeeren, Blaubeeren und Bananen. Die Möhren werde ich heute Abend mit Butter grillen. Ich schneide sie in Scheiben und packe sie in Folie. Das heißt, ich lege sie in Folie und falte die Folie, damit nichts in den Grill fällt. Vielleicht werde ich euch in einem anderen Video zeigen, wie man richtig grillt. Guten Morgen, ich bin Fred. Guten Morgen? Es ist schon 14 Uhr. Das ist Nachmittag. Guten Tag, Fred. Ich heiße Thomas. Guten Abend, Thomas. Ich spreche nicht viel Deutsch, aber ich möchte mit dir sprechen. Warum duzen Sie mich? Wir kennen uns nicht? Oh, es tut mir leid. Darf ich mit Ihnen sprechen? Okay. Worüber wollen Sie sprechen? Ich muss einen Deutschen für meinen Deutschkurs interviewen. Ich muss einfach ein paar Fragen stellen und Notizen schreiben. Warum nicht? Ich habe heute nichts vor. Was ist die erste Frage? Wie heißen Sie? Ich heiße Thomas. Das habe ich schon gesagt. Und wie ist Ihr Nachname, Thomas? Wayne. Thomas Wayne bin ich. Wie buchstabiert man das? Wayne. W-A-Y-N-E. Cool. Wie beschreiben Sie sich? Ich bin nicht wirklich alt, aber ich bin bestimmt nicht jung. Ich bin groß und schlank. Meine Haare sind braun. Ich habe blaue Augen. Haben Sie Geschwister? Wo wohnen Sie? Ja, ich habe 2 Brüder und eine Schwester. Mein kleiner Bruder wohnt in den USA. Mein großer Bruder wohnt in Zürich. Meine Schwester wohnt in München. Wann stehen Sie morgens auf? Ich wache normalerweise um 6 Uhr auf. Dann esse ich Frühstück und gehe zur Arbeit. Um 6 Uhr wachen Sie auf? Das ist mir zu früh. Was machen Sie beruflich? Ich bin Kassierer in einer Bank. Wenn die Kunden reinkommen, um eine Einzahlung vorzunehmen, nehme ich das Geld von ihnen. Wenn sie Geld abheben, gebe ich den Kunden ihr Geld. Wie gefällt es Ihnen, dort zu arbeiten? Es ist manchmal langweilig, aber ich verdiene gut und ich muss nie Arbeit mit nach Hause nehmen. Was sind Ihre Hobbys? Was machen Sie zum Spaß? Ich lese gerne und sammle seltene und coole Münzen. Münzen können cool sein? Sie zu sammeln macht Spaß? Ja, natürlich. Ich habe sehr alte Münzen und andere sehr seltene. Ich finde es interessant herauszufinden, wie alt sie sind, wo sie herkommen und was sie wert sind. Wie oft kaufen Sie Lebensmittel? 2-mal die Woche kaufe ich ein, normalerweise dienstags und freitags. Wo kaufen Sie ein? Zuerst kaufe ich bei Aldi ein, danach kaufe ich das, was ich nicht bei Aldi finde, bei Lidl. Wie bezahlen Sie, bar oder Karte? Ich bezahle immer bar. Was ist Ihr Lieblingsobst und Lieblingsgemüse? Für Obst kommt es darauf an, welche Jahreszeit wir haben. Im Winter esse ich am liebsten Ananas, aber im Sommer esse ich Erdbeeren. Ich mag jederzeit Blumenkohl. Cool! Ich habe keine anderen Fragen. Danke für Ihre Zeit. Darf ich Ihnen ein paar Fragen stellen? Das ist nur recht und billig. Wie lange lernen Sie Deutsch? Ich habe im September angefangen. Ich werde in ein paar Wochen die A2-Prüfung schreiben. Warum lernen Sie Deutsch? Ich möchte in Deutschland studieren. Ich kann mir die Kosten einer amerikanischen Uni nicht leisten, aber wenn ich in Deutschland studiere, ist es viel günstiger. Wie lernen Sie Deutsch? Nehmen Sie Unterricht irgendwo? Ich lerne mit YouTube-Videos und Online-Ressourcen. So wie Learn German with Herr Antrim oder sowas? Nein, Jenny ist viel besser. Auf Wiedersehen. Oh, okay. Auf Wiedersehen. If you would like to get even more out of this video, you can get a copy of my new ebook, which includes versions of the video scripts along with worksheets and answer keys to those worksheets for every lesson in this video. By getting my ebook, you will also gain access to a ton of previously unreleased materials, including MP3 downloads of dialogues, flashcards, and more. This ebook is now available on Amazon.com, which you can find linked below, and on my website, GermanWithAntrim.com. From my website, you can also download individual materials for individual lessons, or you can download all of the materials in one giant bundle. Wow! You made it to the end of a YouTube video that is over 3 hours long! You are definitely dedicated to your German learning. If you have any questions or you just want to have a chat in German, leave a comment down below. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!